Today on the Esports Meta.
Let's pull up Overwatch patch notes where they're going to buff Malgo because no one wants to play him anymore.
But this is very deceptive because it wasn't this clear cut. Currently, you can play it for the first time.
Saying off the rip, trying to be a trolly person.
Welcome to the Esports Meta. My name is Billy Sims. This is your esports podcast about video game news and competition. We've got a ton to go over today. We're in episode number 33, and today is definitely an Overwatch episode. We'll be talking about all the big news happening this week. Overwatch Stage 4 Champion Series finals happened this past weekend. The compositions, crazy. The games, even crazier. We'll be going over the score lines, which teams made it by the skin of their teeth because they are fighting for points, and some barely got through. Others didn't make the cut, getting knocked out. We've also got Season 13 starting right now. Today, Overwatch Season 13's Battle Pass just came out, and some big implications. We've got a somber rework we're going over, as well as some maps. This has been rumored for a while, and it's finally happened. We've got 5 big map reworks we're going to go over and check out all the details for. Plus, we've got some other news from Super Vibe, as well as Rivals of Aether, and catching up on League of Legends World Tournaments going on, and we're going to see some scores to do that. But in order to do that, this is a special episode because we've got a very special birthday boy here as well. Nick Layton, our co-host, birthday today. Happy birthday, Nick. My guy, you might be muted, not off to a good start.
Yeah, well, you told me to be radio silent, so take that. You got what you wanted.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So how you doing today, man?
Perfect. Been a
Wonderful.
lovely day.
Just what you needed, all right? We've got a lot to talk about in video game news. There's been a lot happening in this past week. I know we were talking personally about Throne and Liberty, I think it was, and just how it's like a new world. But then New World drama's happening as well, man. Like, what's been going on your mind and video game world, basically, for you?
No, just been watching Worlds, dude. Like, Worlds is great. It's been a lot of fun. T1 stepping up. So that's been pretty good. Like, it's been a lot of fun just like watching them. That's pretty much it. That's all I've been doing. Well,
it's a good thing to be doing, especially on the birthday, man. Give some love in the chat for our birthday boy here. You know, make him feel special or not special. Just ream him for looking like he's Mr. Magoo, aging to 132.
Yeah, just be like, you're a turd. Thanks,
man. Happy birthday. But let's get into actual stuff happening in the video game world today, and we're going to start off with Rivals of Aether. Basically, this is just a small update. They have a weekly video series as they lead up to launch. The launch is occurring next week. Actually, let me start this over. Just to kind of segue us and like intro this whole game a little bit cleaner. Rivals of Aether is officially launching next week, about a week from today, Tuesday the 15th. We'll be seeing that happening, I believe, October 23rd. Rivals of Aether coming out. And as they've led up to the launch of this game, they've been releasing a bit more information. This past week, they released a bit more information about their battle pass, what you're going to expect from monetization, what you're going to expect from cosmetics, in-game, etc. Because right now the game is pretty much buy once and then everything, or is everything free? Actually, I think it is a free game, and then everything inside of it's free, a free battle pass. So people were, no cap, people were asking, how can we give you money? And this was their response. So, Nick, unless you have anything to sort of add to this intro, let's get it rolling.
Rivals of Aether 2 is releasing in just under 2 weeks, and we are extremely excited to finally get our labor of love out into the world.
October 23rd.
As part of our lead up to launch, we're getting you the full download on what to expect in the game with a series of videos featuring our studio lead, Dan Fernacey. Last week, we talked about the key features the game will launch with, and today we're talking about our currencies, cosmetics, and how they tie into progression. Our goal is to keep things fun, fresh, and rewarding, all while making it so we can keep giving you new content. Plus, it's a way to ensure your character in-game has as much personality as you do, so you can style on your opponents in style. This is the second in a 3-part series of videos. Our final topic after this one will include our plans for the game post-launch.
Hello, I'm Dan Fernacey, the studio lead at Aether Studios. And yes, we've seen your concerns.
That's the part I was talking about specifically, where it really does seem like people are excited about this game and they want to support this small studio. They want to support Ludwig publishing this game and just get this game in a place where it can succeed. So this is great to see, especially in the good guide mode, where, you don't really see it in video games too often. Like, Nick, you always like to say meme and money. These studios, these developers like to meme and money. Here's a place where they're not memeing and not chasing money, but people want to support this. So love to see that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's looking really cool, and especially with everything being free, like it just allows you to like play the game, and the only thing you have to do is like get some of the cool skins, which I'm sure they're going to be giving a ton away through the battle pass and this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have learned a lot from other people's models that aren't, hey, let's charge them for like every single thing. Right.
Let's charge them $60 for a game that hasn't been finished yet.
Yeah.
But we've got all the details right here. So let me just get into it. Speaking directly from the horse's mouth here, Dan Fernese is going to run us down all the details from this video this past week, and then we'll discuss a little bit our interpretations of it. So here we go.
That I'm not doing a good enough job of taking your money. That's my bad. I'll definitely work on that one in the future. But for now, I'd like to share our vision for our business model, the game's economy, and the in-game currencies in Rivals of Aether 2. Now that's the question everyone's been asking me, and I'm happy to say that the game will be $29.99 USD with region-specific pricing through Steam. There will be a variety of cosmetics so players can customize their experience. We are designing our cosmetics and economy systems in a way that not only keeps our studio going, but also feels fair to our players. There'll be skins that drastically change the look of your character and even add visual effects and sound effects at some of the higher rarities. There'll be palettes that change the colors of your characters on both the default skin as well as some of the premium skins. There'll be taunts so you can style on your opponents mid-match. There'll be icons so you can customize your profile. There'll be emotes so you can talk to your opponent in between online matches. There'll be death effects that change the explosion that happens when you get KO'd. And you can even change your respawn platform for when after you get back. All in all, there'll be approximately 300 different cosmetics in-game at launch.
So real quick, I wanted to touch on, I was really impressed when I was watching this the first time that not just the amount of cosmetics to do, but the variety. You're not just getting, a costume or a skin, right? They're going to be messing with animations, sound effects that way. The landing platform I thought was cool. And then something that's kind of unique to fighting games, but I guess it's not. But maybe this is also because we've been spoiled in the bad way, where it's like games just don't give us these things. Like Overwatch's flourish for Overwatch 2 was like promised and implied forever, and like it still hasn't been delivered. And like the best way it has been right now has been like a souvenir, or like you buy a mythic weapon for $50-$60 and then you can like spin it. But like that's awesome to see that this fighting game is doing in-game taunts, so you can cosmetically get a specific taunt and then run that back. And especially for a fighting game, that's a great little like spice to throw in there when you're like you're dunking on somebody. You just throw it like I know, man.
That's definitely cool. Like absolutely cool. That's something that like League has like so much stuff. Like they have the emotes, the wards, the skins, the stuff like that. So it's definitely pretty cool to see other companies just like do stuff like that.
Right, and like kind of do it in like a wholesome sort of way. Like I think I saw the whale character had a skin for Finding Nemo. This guy's a ladybug. Like that's cool. Like people enjoy that stuff. People enjoy the extracurriculars like this, the emotes, the avatars, the platforms, the kill animation. Like for them to be able to provide that when AAA studios can't, right, is amazing. So I wanted to focus that one real quick and point out, but let's get back into the information.
The main way is by just playing the game. Through the character progression, you'll be unlocking cosmetics or currencies each time you level up a character. Also, like we mentioned in our previous video, there will be free monthly events where you can unlock themed cosmetics. And finally, you can purchase cosmetics by using the 2 different in-game currencies.
So real quick too on that, like when they're talking about the, they said it was free, generally speaking. They're going to have monthly events that are going to be free in game as well. So like that's all already awesome to hear when you have Apex Legends charging you twice every battle pass for the battle pass. And then the other thing that I saw was you get the currencies by leveling up characters. I think this also incentivizes you playing a lot of different characters and learning a lot of different characters. So like you have your one main, but you need some more currency. You play that one character you don't play very often, and then you're building up those currencies. So I think that's kind of neat too, Nick.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, dude, I love just like free shit and unlockables like in the game, stuff that makes you want to like play the game more if the game is good, rather than like, you know, just going, oh man, fear of missing out because everybody's playing this and I got to do the battle pass because I'm going to miss out on that one skin that won't come around for another 4.5 years for some reason.
Yeah. It's tough when you see that and like that's become the main staple. And I think that's something, you know, this is really highlighting the contradiction of that normal we're used to. And like people who play video game, all those gamers out there, they're used to, and they just don't realize. We might be old enough to also remember when games weren't DLC, when you could get the whole game, the whole Happy Meal, right?
Right. Like, do you not remember when it started? I remember when it started. Like, that's like the worst part about this whole entire thing was just and you said it too, like you just like said part of it. It was Fable 2 with Not Whole Island, where they sold DLC and called it Not Whole Island for their game that was just like not great.
Yeah, man. I remember with the original Assassin's Creed, just playing it for 10 hours and going, what? This was $60? And like that for me was the start of that. I do remember the thing with Fable. And then after that, the trend of DLC, like fixing the game, completing the game, giving you more. It's like you bought the meal and you didn't get the drink, you didn't get the fries, and they're going to give you that later, but you have to pay another 20, 30, 40 bucks. Cough, New World, cough. But
I mean, that's an interesting point alone, right? Like, why is Smash still $60? The game released how long ago? And Nintendo, like I talk about this all the time. Nintendo irks me on many levels on a regular basis, but like it's $60 and it's literally just a Smash fighting game. Sure, it's good. Like, how good is this game going to be by comparison? Hopefully, it'll be like just as good, if not better, because then we can say like, hey, maybe don't pay $60 for these games.
Right.
You know?
And the one silver lining for like a Nintendo is that the DS games, the mobile games used to be $40, the Pokemon series, but they would stay $40 forever. And like, they didn't really change those games either, like evolve them. Like you weren't getting new features or like new mechanics. You were literally playing the same game, just reskinned to a different area. But that's a whole bigger conversation when we specifically talk about Nintendo or Pokemon or Zelda or Mario. Like there's a lot of different aspects to that. And then, yeah, they really just hold strong to keeping that price point at $60. But in that same way, you see like a GTA 5, the game is like 13 years old and they're still selling it for $60.
It's on sale for $30 right now on Steam.
Oh,
like
man.
I saw that today. Like, but like again, I was saying this before stream, right? Like IGN needs to do their job.
That's also another big conversation, big topic. But this is, you know, a topic that's
anyway.
Why it feels bad. It feels bad when you see these games, when Cyberpunk doesn't finish making the game, sells it for you $60, and everybody's like, it's not done, blah, 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 etc. Like, it's not supposed to be like that. Stop spending your money on that. It's trash. I know it's hyped up and like super excited, but you know, this is a game. Rivals of Aether is a game you should spend your money on. This is good guy mentality. This is a good developer bringing you good material and to play a good game. You're going to love this game and they're going to make it worthwhile to you. And there's going to be a community around it. And like, that's something that we lose touch with a lot of other games. And I'm going to get off my soapbox with that one, but let's get back into this video. I wanted to segue us back into this stuff because it is such a big contrast of what Rivals of Aether are doing. Dan's doing versus what a lot of these other developers are doing. Ubisoft and Microsoft, Ubisoft and Outlaws, Star Wars Outlaws, saying it's the gamer's fault the game didn't sell very well. Sorry, that's a direct anecdotal sort of comparison, but this is why this is so good. So let's go.
Game. You can earn XP in any game mode and get coins by leveling up. You can spend these in the coin shop. Etherbucks are primarily acquired by spending real money, but can also be earned through play. You'll get some Etherbucks through character levels, and even more by playing in the monthly events. You can spend these in the buck shop. 100 Etherbucks are worth $1, and 1 Etherbuck can get you 100 Ether coins. We aren't trying to hide anything, but you'll have to do just a little bit of math. The coin shop refreshes each day with new items available for Ether coins. You don't have to play every day, but doing so will show you more options. And whenever you purchase an item, the shop automatically restocks one from the same category. The Buck Shop is a premium static shop with a growing catalog of high-ticket items. This is where you can buy something like the Chef Loxodon skin that we teased back in April. Go here if you love Ether Studios and want us to keep making cool stuff. Cosmetics will help us pay for upkeep and allow us to create new content. If you're sad that you missed a monthly event and didn't get the rewards in time, don't worry. The grindable cosmetics will enter the coin shop once the event ends, and the premium items will remain in the buck shop forever.
So that touched on something that you were just saying a second ago, where you don't have to wait for these skins to come back. So that's already a lot better of a mentality. They're already giving people a way to get the stuff in game, and then they're doing in a good faith way. And I think that's the best way to put it.
These guys did their homework. They did their homework on they did their homework on some of the mobile gacha games that are out there with the monthly events and everything. Like, I would literally say, I think I've spoke about it before, right? There's a game called Summoner's War that I've been playing for way too long. And it's a gacha game. It is one of the best ones that I've ever played. Like, the gameplay's good, whatever, right? But usually in like a game, it's pretty malicious on how much money they want you to spend. Don't spend any money in this game. There's like every single thing, and the monthly events, they literally allow you to buy it later on, like through a coin system that you earn from events anyway. So like these guys are doing their homework on like League of like Riot, Com to Us, all sorts of games that are very profitable and have long staying power. It seems like they've been taking some nice notes.
It definitely seems like these are gamers in control of the game, and it's not stockholders and parent companies that are like dictating, oh, this needs to be that way and that one needs to be this way because we can charge more, do this and that. Because I don't think anybody really argues that a game studio shouldn't make money. They shouldn't be able to make the game. People want these games, so they understand it's gotta, they have to be able to keep the lights on, and then they gotta be able to pay their developers, their coders, their marketers, all those people. But then it's a point where it's like, is this worth the value? And I think that was a big question we had when Apex's specific controversy of the dual battle pass, they split it into two. It's like, is it valuable? Is it valuable to me as the gamer? And like, if we were to ask that question here, 100%, these are gamers creating value to other gamers. And it might not be everything that you want specifically, but they are doing a good job at keeping that good faith play in effect there. So yeah, great to see.
How long?
Yes, true. Let's get back into the video and see what else we got for us and see how long it lasts.
We're adamant about only selling cosmetic items that don't affect gameplay. Our plan is that all future characters and game modes will be free. There will be new skins and other cosmetics added every month to both in-game shops. We'll also be partnering with creators and event organizers to introduce new cosmetics earned outside the game. With that, we have covered most of what will be available in the game at launch. Next week, we'll be sharing something that many...
All right, that's pretty cool. They're going to go into another video next week. We should be seeing that in a couple of days now. But this part here where they're going to partner with streamers and content creators
and event organizers to introduce new cosmetics outside the game.
Don't let it backfire.
Absolutely.
Like having a Dr. Disrespect pack in your game.
I know, but like there is something to say about the marketing on something like that. The old adage where it's like any press is good press. So like if it is controversial, it's going to get the game in front of a lot more people. How many more people wanted to play Concord after it failed, after all those articles were written about it, right? The price shot up to like $1,000 for a physical copy.
That's crazy.
So man, yeah. Either way, like that partnering with creators or streamers or event organizers, they could have an Evo skin, you know, for the champion if they have it at Evo. They could do a lot of different things with this. It was just really cool to see. Again, gamers being gamers and being a part of the game culture and game community. Gotta love it. Any final takeaways for you, Nick? How is your general impression? Because we're about a week away from this game. How is your general impression of the overall of the cosmetics of what we've seen today and previously?
All in all, it looks pretty good. I think like the only statement that I think was like pretty bold was to say that like having a skin and certain skins won't affect gameplay. That would mean that the animations are 100% exactly the same on every single skin. Just like timing wise, everything like that. That's bold as hell. Like that doesn't happen in like in other games. That there's definitely like pay to lose skins. Like especially in like League of Legends, there's pay to lose skins. Like on Yasuo, there's some skins that like literally you can't do some stuff. Like the way that your champion just functions just is slightly different. So
that's a fair point. That's a fair point, and we'll have to see what happens in the training range. I remember last week we were looking at the laboratory, the practice mode, that you could actually see the hit and hurt boxes of each fighter. So it'll be interesting to see if you can put different skins on and see if there's any differential of the hit and hurt boxes. And if there's not, even the perceived differential, like let's say the elephant character locks it on, he's got the big pizza hat on and you think you hit his head, but you'd miss because it's the hat and it's not the hurt box. Like that could be one of those aspects you're discussing. And that's like a very minor thing, but that's still a perception of the player. And like, that's a big part about games. It needs to feel good as well as look good.
Exactly.
Definitely we'll keep an eye on that. That's an interesting point. We might have a little bit more transparency with the way this developer has been going, as well as with the practice range, being able to actually see frame data as well as hit and hurt boxes. But I'm excited for this game. It's looking pretty good. And I think we're going to keep on covering it, especially when it's launching next week. We'll give you the lowdown on how it's doing, et cetera, et cetera. So stick with us and we'll keep you posted. But right now, we're going to move into some of our other topics. We have Supervive. We're going to talk about a little bit of an update there. Well, later on, we'll be talking about Overwatch, the map reworks, the patch notes, as well as the results. Who won stage 4 and by how much? Because it was close. We'll be going over all those details in just a little bit, but let's move into Supervive. Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show. All right, Supervive. It's another game we've been talking about, been pretty excited for. It is officially launching. We don't know when, but currently you can play it for the first time. There's an open alpha/beta test happening at Steam Fest. You can log on to Steam right now, and because they're celebrating being at Steam Fest with this game, you can play it this moment. This week, Jess Nam, the executive director of the game, did another fireside chat. We had covered and reviewed some of the information she's provided earlier. We also talked about Joe. Was it Joe, Nick? He was former Riot. Yeah. Joe last week was talking in another video, giving us details about this playtest, about the game. Love to see this. Love the way they're delivering content. So let's take a look at this video and see what Jess has to say about the current moment of Supervive and how they're performing at Steam Fest. So here we go.
Are you serious? Guess that's what I'm calling you until someone suggests something better in the comments. Welcome to one of our biggest fireside chats in the history of fireside chats. Not just because there's an insane amount of things in this build, but because we're finally heading to the 2 biggest playtests of our lives. It's happening. We're here. Steam Next Fest runs October 14th to the 21st, where the queues will be up
right now.
24/7, with matchmaking servers in North America, Europe, and Asia. At this point, I can't stress how much wishlisting us on Steam and playing during Steam Next Fest helps us out. As a small, independent game studio, it's incredibly hard to break through the noise, and Steam is one of the few platforms where your energy directly translates into getting Supervive in front of more players. So please, help us.
You hear that, gamers? Go out, wishlist this game, check it out. We're excited about it. If you're excited about it too, go wishlist it. Go download the playtest right now. But let's get back into it. I just want to make that call to action very clear. If you like games like this, you like indie developers that are going to make good games for gamers by gamers, go support it. All right, let's keep moving.
Us out, and thank you. After that, we're landing in Korea from October 21st to the 27th. If you want in, sign up at supervive.nexon.com. You can also join the official Korean Supervive Discord to stay up to date on what's happening. Okay, so what's in this build? As Joe mentioned, this is definitely our best and most polished build yet, including a ton of thematic updates with every hunter getting official VO and visual upgrades across environments, hunters, powers, and UI. We're also introducing a new hunter mastery system where you can go super deep on your favorite hunter to earn unique hunter-specific cosmetics. Needless to say, we've been working hard to make this build shine. We've done a lot to improve our onboarding. I've probably said this before, but it's definitely better. Not only have we updated our tutorial video, we've also redone the design of our tutorial flow. Finally, if you're someone who wants to explore the game without the pressure of a 40-player lobby, we're actually adding a new bot queue where you can squad up against 9 other bot teams in a BR game. Okay, let's talk about the deep cuts. For a while, we viewed equipment in Supervive as part of the making do portion of the game, where your skill was how you adapted your build relative to what you found. But now we've gone to the point where there's enough other systems like powers, storm shifts, hot zones, and objectives to feed the adaptation mastery, and want to make more space for more theory crafting. There's a lot of kinds of theory crafting in the world, but one we think Supervive could use more of is that reliable, planned theory crafting, like hunter builds. So now we think of equipment as more core to your hunter's playstyle, something you theory craft to make your team comp work rather than something you assemble on the fly. With all that context, we're making equipment much more reliable to build around, where you can set your starter items at hunter select, landing with either 2 basic weapons, a weapon and an armor, or 2 armors. You can then upgrade your items through upgrade shards, letting you choose a secondary stat at tier 2 and then an evolved equipment at tier 3. Speaking of equipment, just to restate the goal of evolving equipment, we want to offer a spread of equipment options that allows you to meaningfully change your hunter's playstyle to suit different situations. Maybe there's a storm shift that changes up your strategy. Maybe your team comp needs you to lean one direction or another. Or maybe you just hate getting dived by Brawls and Felixes and want to permanently build against that. We like that evolving equipment serves all those needs. Anyways, in terms of changes coming in this playtest, we're still sketching out broad shapes to keep learning what ideas are exciting to you. New in this patch are things like Vault Hunter, which lets you opt into a power forward playstyle, or Ambush, which doesn't give you big offensive stats, but does let you become an armor shredder for your team. There's also Soul Drain, which gives you a nice healing bonus for stomping or executing enemies. These are just some examples of our evolution changes, so check them all out in the Learn tab in-game, and start theory crafting.
All right, there's been a lot of information right there, Nick. I kind of want to digest it a little bit with you. You know, sure. I got a little bit of hands-on with the playtest that started as of recording yesterday. Played about 5 to 10 games. It felt a little overwhelming at first, but then I quickly adapted and kind of picked up on this. It does. I'm not really one for like MOBAs, but this has a MOBA flair to it. The equipment isn't as in depth as the equipment in MOBA, like a League of Legends or Dota MOBA, I feel like. But I think it has enough variety and sustainability to create that sort of complexity. Nick, have you seen a little bit, and maybe speaking from your experience as somebody who plays a lot more MOBAs than I do, how does it line up? Would you have any sort of like notes or maybe things to look out for or ways they can make it work?
So I did play it. I played a little bit of it today for the first time. I like the movement. I like the way the game is working. I like the abilities, how they're firing off, the way everything looks. I didn't experience any like lag or anything like that. I was surprised with the 4-man squads. I thought that was kind of interesting that it was a 4-man squad on drop down. So with the items themselves, they will get more complex. They're not going to stay like this. Like it does feel like this is like the item system from like Dota or League of Legends, where this will just, as she said, like change your play style for your guy, and it'll be how you want to play it going in, and you don't have to do think about things on the fly. So, which will be like nice because it's not, the people you're facing against aren't stagnant in this game. You're facing a lot of different people. If you kill one squad, doesn't mean the next squad's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
I was liking that character. I like him. But no, it was a lot of fun. Like I had a lot of fun. I won my first game, lost my second game. I jumped right in after the tutorial just because like I've played MOBAs before. And like the big thing that sets us apart from like MOBAs is like, you're moving with completely separate buttons. So you're moving with your left hand rather than your right hand. Threw me off big time.
It definitely is like that MOBA battle royale vibe, which is what the game is. And I think they sell that part really well. I just wanted to jump in on that because I think it is a big selling point, and it will trick some people in that mindset where it's, you're moving with the left hand and then aiming with the right hand.
But the information's clean. Like, as you can see, even right there where there's like a lot of stuff going on, the information that you're seeing is it's very clean. You can definitely tell a lot of stuff. It doesn't feel like Risk of Rain or World of Warcraft, where it's just like, bro, this is just like, this is obnoxious. This is like gore for gore's sake, Like,
well, in fairness to Risk of Rain, it's supposed to be like a bullet hell, so that makes sense.
No, I hear you. But at a certain level, it just becomes a little bit too much. But for this, it's super clean. The colors are great. The movement's great. They not even where this game is at right now. There is no reason to really like hate on it except for to critique it. Like that's the only thing people need to do is just like politely critique this game. And that's it. Even if you don't like something, just say like, hey, I don't like this. And just, say your reasons why. You might be wrong, but, or you might be right. You never know.
Yeah, it could highlight something like a core little thing, like a friction of like the tutorial, like onboarding. If you've never played a game like this, the gear might not make sense, or the gliding might not make sense. So like sharing that could help inform the developers. But just don't be malicious about it because, again, these people are gamers, and you can see the love and care they're putting into this game, as well as the love and care they're extending to the community. So let's move on into this and see what the final, where are we at here? We're a little bit closer, but let's see the rest of this video real quick and, gather our thoughts for the final takeaways.
Journey of mastery, intuitive and exciting all the way through for those of you on your 2000th game of Supervive, and for those of you who are just starting. We also want others to be able to witness you and dream of accomplishing that level of mastery. And who knows, maybe they'll beat you tomorrow. All right, I am way over time, so I just got to close up shop. My final note is that we will be resetting progression, and so to manage expectations around earn rates, we've been on accelerated experience and unlock rates due to our playtesting schedule, but they will now be closer to what we expect for open beta. Also, we will definitely do at least one more reset before launch, so spend your currency however you like. All right, that's it from me. You can read our full list of changes on Steam or Nexon.com for the first time. And once again, while you're there, please wishlist us and follow us and subscribe here and leave a comment and like us. Thanks. Bye, and I will see you next at NextFest.
Right. That's a game, if you're excited for it, like we are, go wishlist it on Steam right now. You can also play test it currently from the 14th to the 21st because of Steam Next Fest. Get your hands on that game. Let us know what your thoughts are. Nick, any final takeaways before we move into our next topic?
Yeah, they got to start making some t-shirts or something. I'll buy a t-shirt with the way the colors are and everything. The merch is going to be great.
Right. They could be one of those games that gets the lore and the animation right, and they could pick up like another show on Netflix like Arcane or Cyberpunk did.
Yeah, like it the game's great.
But yeah, okay. Looking to support this game because it's going to be a pretty exciting one. We are both excited about it. You want to get your hands on it, you know where to find that. Steam. Go wishlist it if you're looking to get that game when it comes out, or just see more details. And we'll keep you posted with all the information that we know as we know it. So stay in touch with us. You can find us on all the social medias at the Esports Meta. We're on all the platforms, everywhere that you are. You can also listen to us on a podcast, all those platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. If you want to catch up on us a little bit later after the fact, or we're here live every Tuesday on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook and LinkedIn, wherever we can stream live, everywhere that you can, we are there too. So, check us out, come back, give us a follow, give us a like. We'll keep you posted about all our video games, news, and details, the ones we're looking forward to. And if you're looking forward to it too, let us know which games and we'll start covering that stuff too. But thanks for watching so far. We've got more to get to. Let's keep it moving. So we're going to move into our next segment. I'm being flashbanged by my screen because we're on a new website to bring you new information. We're going to be talking about Overwatch Champion Series. Stage 4 finals happened this past weekend, and it was a doozy. A lot of cool things, a lot of great games, a lot of cool moments. So let's run down the EU and NA final details and bring you to the scores page, which is right here. Nick, did you get a chance to watch any of it this past weekend, or was I just solo watch it?
You were just solo watching this one, my man.
All right.
I had a little too much with the league, man.
It was a lot of, this is that time of year where there's a lot happening. So we had to split our focus, not a problem. I wasn't alone. There was more than 40,000 people watching the finals of OWCS this past week. I think it was averaging about 20 to 30,000 viewers through the weekend. So good to see the representation across EU as well as NA. And here we have the final tallies for EU. Space Station Gaming taking first place over ENCE, winning $30,000. Not going to harp on that prize pool too much, but I think this is the second or third time that Space Station Gaming has won a championship as far as OWC is concerned, bringing them to official first place here at the end here. ENCE taking second place, Twisted Mind having a bit of an upswing in the good way. They were definitely down and out earlier this year, but see them come back and place third, walking away with $10,000 is great to see. The rest of the top 8 here, Virtus Pro, SR Peak Check, Piece of Cake, One Man Army, and Vendetta rounding us out on the top 8 of the leaderboard for EU. It was a lot of fun games. This let me scroll down to the bracket so we can take a look. So I want to start this off by saying that generally speaking, there is a default meta right now. Nick, we're seeing a lot of Orisa being played, first and foremost, straight out the gate. And behind Orisa, we're seeing Juno and Brig mostly as a support cast. Beyond that, we're seeing a very flexible DPS roster. We're seeing Genjis, we're seeing Widows, we're seeing Sombras, we're seeing Maze, we're seeing Pharahs, we're seeing Echoes. We're seeing a huge variety of DPS to cater to the moment, which is awesome to see. And because we're seeing that, then that default comp is then evolving from an Orisa base to a Juno base. Orisa's getting swapped out for Divas, for Sigmas. We saw some Reinhardt, we saw some Malga, not really, but like as like a specific counter pick at times. It was really cool to see a variety of these teams looking to solve the problem and win the game. And because there was that flexibility, we saw that expression of skill. We saw that expression of excitement. And then finally, the support line, Juno was the anchor point. So we did not see Juno really swap, but we saw her compatriot, her partner in crime, go from generally a Brig to an Anna. And then sometimes, what was it? There was, can't remember off the top of my head, but we did see a Zen, I believe. Yes. So not the huge variety of change on that support line, but it seems that this was the Juno show and Orisa was orchestrating that for the most part. Here's the brackets right now, Nick. As far as the compositions I was speaking about, how does that, surprise you, not surprise you? Is there any sort of takeaways for just the compositions I'm talking about here?
You got to nerf Juno. The value Juno brings is a little bit too much. But then it's a real weird spot, right? Like just hearing you talk about it based on like last week, the last bunch of stuff that I watched for last week and the week prior. What happens if you nerf Juno? It's just going to go back to Lucio. You know, it's like movement speed
wrong.
might just need to be taken out of the game.
You're definitely not wrong, and I'm not going to give us any spoilers for later on our episode, but that is something that's been addressed. So you have the really good instincts in identifying that currently, and we'll see how that pans out with our patch notes a little bit later. All right. So with that being said, this is the top level, of course. This is the 1% of the 1% of Overwatch. ENCE, Space Station, Piece of Cake, Vicious Pro. These were the teams that have been competing all year and like making names for themselves after making names for themselves in Overwatch League last year. So the bracket here, we're going to run through this side quickly, and we're going to dive a little deeper into NA. ENCE coming out strong against One Man Army, 3-0ing them, 3-1ing Piece of Cake, and then meeting Space Station in the upper bracket final. ENCE winning 3-1. We've seen this little vendetta, this like sibling rivalry between these two EU teams where ENCE has finally showed up and showed out and can beat Big Brother down. But, you know, we're seeing how that then gets a kung fu, little judoed, swapped around because in the grand final, Space Station takes a definitive 4-0, running Reinhardt, Mei, Sombra against Widows, against Cass, against Genjis. Like they were able to run it down mid and overtake, and just like they did a great job in showing, okay, we've got understanding of this meta. We have a strong suit in this meta. Let's just dominate. And that's what they did here. And showed a lot of life. They've been up there. They've been making those plays, but they couldn't quite get past Space Station a second time to win it. You know, so it was a nice shift from what we've seen. ENCE did win stage 3, I believe. They did made a good showing at EWC. Let's see how they're going to end up doing for the brackets for DreamHack, because that's ultimately what they're all fighting for here. Nick, I gotta admit, I forgot to prep the points for that. So, you know, as far as seeing that bracket, I'm going to search right now for those points in the background here.
What you need to search for is what I said last week, which was, I'm pretty sure Space Station Gaming was something to look for based on when we were looking at the, what was it? We were looking at the chart. We were looking at the Excel spreadsheet, and I was like, I'm pretty sure like Space Station Gaming over here can do some movement. Looks like they're on the upswing. Nice little uptick that they had. But hey, let's see. Like
they've certainly been on top of it for a while. They've been showing their dominance. They had a little bit of a slow start, but they've definitely come to their own. Okay, I've got the points here. Let's take a look at the EU point bracket, see who's going to DreamHack, because this one was less close for sure, but it is one of those fighting for positioning situation here. Why is this only for stage 2? Let's bring it to stage 4. All right, still not having it. Don't have it. Let me back it out real quick.
Here's the real question I have, right? So we have all these teams that went through like 4 stages, right?
Okay.
God, I hope they name this something. Like I really hope. I hate saying stage 2, stage 3, stage 4.
Yeah.
Like
and main event.
It's all cancer, bro. Like it sucks.
You can't have 4 main events. There's only one main event. But anyway,
the point that I wanted to make was after we have all of these 4 stages, and we played it, you know, and everybody played at EWC, right? Like, do you want the bans? Do you want the bans, guys? Like, do they want to have the ability to possibly change up certain matches? Is ENCE pissed because they're like, hey, you know, if we just had that ban system, we probably could have rocked them and not get like steamrolled because they knew our juice. After playing like the first game, like 4-0 is fried as hell, man. Like that's absolutely fried. Like that is cooked.
I was gonna say, especially after beating them 3-1. You know, you beat a team 3-1, and then you get beat by them 4-0. Like, oof, big oof. But we're back. I got the points now for EU. Let's take a look at this. Space Station Gaming is sitting on top with 1,500 total points. ENCE with a very close second place, 1,550. Only a 30-point difference, which is great to see. And they're just vying to start to see where they place in the overall international tournament at DreamHack Stockholm coming up in November, I believe. Twisted Minds made that jump up 2 spots tied for third place, which is interesting with Vitrus Pro. Vitrus Pro did not have a great showing on this tournament, but they're sitting comfortably where it seems that, are they invited? Is that the color or no? They might have been knocked out because of it. We'll take a look at the invitations to DreamHack, but that does not bode pretty well. And then you can see that gap after that point. There's a 600 point difference between second and third, and then there's another 300 points between fourth and fifth here, man. Like, it was competitive and then it was not competitive. And, you know, maybe those picks and bans are something that we're going to say we want to see, and that the players are going to say, hey, we need to have this introduced, and we're going to see that happen next year, as well as bigger prize pools, so it makes it worth it for these organizations. But this was a very, very well done tournament. It was very cool to watch. This current patch is a lot of fun to see. And EU did a great job with the competition, and they're going to be a force to fight with when they go against Korea and North America for the first time since EWC. But man, Nick, it is close. You're saying the points, dude.
Yeah, look at it.
30-point difference.
Pretty ridiculous. 30-point difference. Not much. Basically nothing.
Not much.
As far as like how much they have. And that's tied to the players, right?
Absolutely. Completely.
Yeah.
These are also teams.
Like, you guys better be barking for raises, bro.
These are also teams with these are also teams with smaller rosters. They only have like 5 players, I believe. I think Ents might have 6, but you know, you're seeing extreme flexibility from these players, extreme evolution of understanding the meta and just adapting and finding solutions. Also, these are the teams with like a lot of Overwatch League players, so it's pretty obvious they were there for a reason.
Yes.
All right. Sorry to move on, but we're going to jump into North America. We also going to be talking about points for North America, but let's cover specifically the results. And we're going to take a look in a little bit of a different fashion this way. We're going to, maybe not. Let's take a look at the final tally of first place. And as far as the prize pool is concerned, Toronto Defiant, number 1. But this is very deceptive because it wasn't this clear cut. It's been this all season. Toronto Defiant doesn't really feel like they have a lot of competition in North America. The other teams kind of show up. They make a ton of mistakes, but clearly Toronto Defiant is the team. Wasn't the case this time around, and this scoreboard does not show it. But congratulations to Toronto. They did win. They made it happen. They took first place, won $30,000 to complete the Infinity Gauntlet of the OWCS for North America, winning $120,000 for the year for this tournament. So congratulations to them for filling out that total trophy case of this year. But another big congratulations to Nightmare here, taking second place, and it was close. TSM took us third place, and then Fluffy Aimers, a team that we were talking about before this tournament started, this part of the tournament started, as being that like underdog, but like they're going to show some gusto. They're going to show their moxie and make a name for themselves here. And hopefully those players can take those points and slingshot it into another team or slingshot them into next year for sure. Nick, currently here, I know I've already given you the storyline of like, man, Toronto Defiant, $120,000 prize. Nightmare, it was a lot closer than you would think. Any sort of takeaways or thoughts as we go into the bracket here off of this prize pool for second, third, etc.?
Toronto Defiant probably should have threw this last one. Like, no joke. People are going to be down in the dumps for next year.
Why is that, man? Why is that?
Nobody made any money except for them.
I do think
gave
that
some scraps.
True. I think Toronto, other than Energy Shock, is the only one that's an official organization. TSM is an organization, but like they do more than just Overwatch. So I don't think their bread and butter is here, but that is definitely rough. Maybe this is just cherry on the cake. They have something, they're winning something. So 10 grand for them. Great. Energy Shock is the other organization, but like we're not seeing Luminosity, you know, what we saw earlier this year. We're not seeing M80 that we saw earlier this year. Those aren't like Overwatch associated organizations, but they're esport organizations, and they have not been. And those are probably ones that have been hurting a lot more from that last lack of prize pool that you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're all like the whole league is suffering from lack of prize support.
Prize port.
Jesus. Surprise port. Surprise
port.
Give me more. This is what I get.
You're right, man.
But yeah, no,
I take a quick sip of water there.
Yeah, I would love to see a little bit more for like next year, but they're falling into the same thing that was happening like before when esports didn't have like an actual league. Like right now they don't, like this is, the Overwatch, league that as it is, but it's not very supported. And where this is going to go is remains to be seen. This is a game too. Like Overwatch is the game that people, like a lot of people can watch, So
yeah, it's a lot easier to digest, even though it is still pretty cluttered. It's still easy-ish to digest.
And I don't care what anybody says. They're like the Overwatch player base is like vast and like full of like non-gamers and gamers, like, and I'm not going to say where they land on like the tier of like the skill caliber, right? But like there are a lot of players that are like non-gamers and gamers that love this game, love watching it, consume all the content, love the skins, love the events that happen, right? So
you're right. And like, in fairness, we are seeing a general lull in esports, and it's affecting not just Overwatch, but like every esport in general. And like we've seen that because partly there is overinflated salaries or cost for these teams. We've seen how I don't want to say the prize support, but it's like more of the money spent for these events, the money delivered for this stuff, the support in that way, the operations and management side, not necessarily, has been kind of at a different point where there's a gap, there's friction, things don't meet, it doesn't make sense. And then you've got these companies fumbling. How do you connect? Because you're right, Nick, there's a huge audience for Overwatch. People are buying the My Hero Academia skins, the Blizzard skins for Overwatch. They're like $50 a pop. People are spending a ton of money on that stuff. And like Overwatch League couldn't capitalize on it, and OWCS is following in those footsteps. And the little bit of like a silver lining, benefit of the doubt, is that they're coming out of that, you get punched in the face. How do you stabilize? They got punched in the face. Now they're stabilizing. They need to make a big step next year for these teams, for these organizations, for the gamers that love this game, competitively or non-competitively, be able to cross-pollinate and do the stuff. And that's something they've definitely struggled with. But, that's, kind of our thoughts, something we talk about repeatedly with this. I'd like to get into some of the more of the bracket thing, but, I want to give you another shot if you want to add anything to that or just like push back on what I had to say.
That sounded good. Let's roll it.
All right. We're going to roll this down. Toronto Defiant, number one, $30,000. We're going to roll down to the bracket and see how they did it. Here's all the teams playing. They got out of groups, and here are all the brackets. So let's roll it from part one. Toronto Defiant, 3-0, Energy Shock. This was huge. Energy Shock was the big contender in stage 3. They brought Toronto Defiant to a game 7. They pushed them, they beat them in the upper bracket final, and then they rematched them in the grand final and then lost. Energy Shock could not make it happen this time around. Maybe it's the way the meta played out. Maybe it was just their understanding, etc., but they couldn't make any moves. This was super important because as points-wise, they were sitting on the cusp. They needed to win to get in. And then because they lost, their fate was basically handed off to somebody else. It was in the control of Nightmare, essentially. How well they did against TSM and what was going to happen. All right. So Toronto Defiant takes them out of the contention there. They go on to play Rad Affinity, 3-0ing them, and then they get to their final boss, Nightmare. Nightmare pushed them to a game 5, almost winning 3-2. Toronto Defiant taking that win, bringing it to game finals. Energy Shock in the lower bracket did make a little bit of a push, but that dark horse, Fluffy Aimers, taking them down in a 3-0 fashion. It was nice to see. Tough loss for Energy Shock, but it was awesome to see, Fluffy Aimers come through when we were talking about how they're like a bit of a dark horse team coming into this main event for the finals here.
Yeah,
We finish out the lower bracket. We finish out the lower bracket where it's back and forth. Fluffy Aimers losing to TSM losing to Nightmare. Nightmare taking that game definitively 3-0. It was no shot by TSM. They just ran them. This meta was really strong for them. The players have been playing hot. They've been looking good. And then it was their time to shine back at Toronto Defiant. They needed to make their names known, and it certainly did. Nick, this was so close that it went down to the last 10 seconds of the last game. So Nightmare comes out strong, beating Toronto 2-0 at Ilios. Toronto picking New Queen Street, a home field advantage, but a map that has not been picked in Overwatch Champion Series for a while. People are opting more for Runasapi and other push maps, but they picked Queen Street. They win it pretty close, 113 to 81. Back and forth, we're seeing that. Then Nightmare picks the map. They take the win. Toronto picks the map, they take the win. Back and forth. Esperanza goes the way of Toronto, but then Nightmare picks Lijiang and then lose. This went down to, I said, the last 10 seconds, Nick. It was 1-1 in the map, back and forth. They get to Night Market map specifically for Overwatch, Lijiang Tower, and it's like 80-something% to like 70%. The point gets flipped. They go back and forth. It's like 95% to 99%. The last 10 seconds, they make the touch. They pull out a clutch. Sugar Free does an incredible deflect timing against the Cassidy on Nightmare. They just roll them from that. You saw a bronze moment in that moment. There was so much skill, but then that skill brought out so much chaos because it was literally 99 to 99, 10 seconds left. And everybody threw their ult to try to win the game, to try to win that $30,000 on the line right there. And Toronto Defiant came out on top, much in part to Sugar Free clutching it up on a deflect from Genji, which is just amazing. So again, the scoreline initially did not show how close it was. I hope this identifies a little bit more how close it was. And I really urge you, if you're a fan of Overwatch, this was a fantastic game to watch. Go watch the VOD for Toronto versus Nightmare and see just how it was done, because boy, Seeker was lighting heads. He was clicking heads, lighting them up. Then you had Sugar Free making moves, Merit making moves. You had someone as the tank just like dominating and just rushing backline. But then you had, oh my God, you had Infected running Wrecking Ball at times and like just counter picking and it was an incredible game to watch through the comps around. So if you're a fan of Overwatch, go watch this VOD. It was fantastic to do. Nick, I've spoken a lot about this. I've spoken a lot about the brackets. I want to check in with you. How you doing? What are your thoughts here, man?
That was a lot, bro. No, I mean, like, just looking at this, like, honestly, it looked like it was really, really close, except for the last two matches. Like even though like the last match went down to like the 10 seconds, like it seemed like their mental was Nightmare's mental was hit a little bit off of the previous map with Esperanza or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Esperanza was definitely a Toronto pick, and I think they were able to make the dive happen a little bit better there, and not necessarily Nightmare wasn't able to control that dive as much. So definitely you see that big 40, 55 point difference there. It was definitely more Toronto's map for sure. But man, Lijiang was close. Lijiang was, there was so much skill expression and moves being made. We saw Sombras coming out trying to take down Widows. We saw Widows making crazy flick shots. Like, it was incredible, man. I'm hyping this up. Go watch the VOD, dude. It was great.
I bet it up a little bit too much for me, bro. I'm gonna go into it and be like, man.
It's not going to disappoint, man. It's not going to disappoint. I wish we had more time so we can like watch some of the highlights and break down some of the big plays, but you know, we have a lot more to get into. Congratulations to Toronto Defiant on taking first place. Congratulations to Nightmare for also getting second place, but putting up such a hell of a fight fantastic tournament, boys. Congratulations. I can't wait to see you at DreamHack and see what you can do. And hopefully the meta stays in a point where it's going to be this competitive and this fun. It's not going to be lopsided like we've seen sometimes in the past. From there, let's take a look at the points, see who's going to be going to DreamHack specifically. Toronto Defiant, we already knew. They've already booked their tickets months ago. 2,000 total points here. For some reason, it won't highlight, but you already see it right there. 2,000 points, first place. The next highest is Nightmare with 1150. North America was a lot closer on who's going to get it other than Toronto. But Toronto, man, just taking first place. They crossed the board. All those points with the same 5 players. Incredible job. We'll see you at DreamHack. Let's see how you guys do against international teams and make a mark just like you did at EWC. Nightmare bringing itself up to number 2 spot with 600 points for this stage. And like I said, Energy Shock's their destiny was in control of Nightmare. Nightmare won, they were in. If TSM won, they were out. And you can see that right here. Energy Shock took 3rd place. They're going to DreamHack with 970 points. They only got 300 points for this stage, but they beat out TSM by 40 points. TSM was 4th place with 930 points. This was close. This came down to the lower bracket finals and a decision there, and just how it was played. And wow, man, this was something we were talking about last week with the points and how they're player focused, the player centered, and that, it was anybody's game. Fluffy Aimers, as well. Shikigami, had the spark, the ability, but they just couldn't close that out.
Yeah, they all just didn't have the juice, man. It's just Toronto and Nightmare, dude.
They were all squeezed and no juice. Citrus Nation, unfortunately, no juice from them. But
reminds me of that jackass.
Yes. So, congratulations to Toronto, Nightmare, and Energy Shock. We'll see you at DreamHack. We're looking forward to it. I hope Energy Shock does make a better play in this upcoming tournament. They had a little bit of a struggle bus getting 3-0'd. They were able to kind of do some stuff, but not really in this one. So I would love to see them come back strong and be the team we know they can be, as well as Nightmare continuing this hot streak, showing that they know what it takes to get here. So congratulations to all these teams, all these winners, and all for everyone else. Better luck next year. Hopefully there's more prize support so that you could be an organization that makes sense to compete. But thank you for playing and looking forward to watching you guys next year. All right, Nick, we're wrapping up the OWCS portion of the show, but man, that was a lot. And I kind of need to take a sip as I prep us for the next part, which is going to be patch notes for Overwatch. I need to take a sip of water, so I need you to vamp for me real quick.
We're gonna go into patch notes for Overwatch. Absolutely amazing. Let's pull up Overwatch patch notes where they're gonna buff Malga because no one wants to play him anymore, and they just made all their skins. Right? I didn't even look at the patch notes, man. This is literally I didn't even watch any of these games. So that's just off me saying off the rip, trying to be a trolly person, but sounds like I'm right.
Let me throw the developer update up here while I drink a little bit more water and get function of my articulates back together as we dive into it. And I'll save the you're right part for when we get to it. So here we go with the developer update. Give us a little more info this way.
And it is sweating.
1 billion degrees in here right now. No AC.
Yeah, and it feels great. Hey,
they're real
it's
people.
Aaron from the Overwatch team, and we're back with another developer update. The season of Spellbinders is Overwatch's lucky number 13 season, and we're looking forward to sharing some of the tricks and treats we have for you at launch. I'll walk us through some of the reworks coming to a few of our core maps, and then I'll pass it to my teammates Cynthia Lee and Angelica Silva to cover updates to our in-game systems and our enchanting seasonal mythic skin. But before we jump into those topics, I am thrilled to announce Halloween Terror is back at Season 13 launch with Wrath of the Bride and an all-new game mode, Junkenstein's Laboratory. In this mode, our heroes have mutations that you can choose from to enhance their abilities and change their gameplay characteristics. For example, you could upgrade Orissa's ability Javelin Spin to propel her off the ground and take flight. Or maybe you queue up damage and choose to upgrade Genji's Deflect to protect yourself 360 degrees from all directions. You could upgrade Moira by bending Coalescence to your will to be purely healing or purely damage. We all know which one you're going to pick. Whatever you decide, we want you to have a great time customizing and trying new things with your upgrades. The purpose of this mode is to put the power in your hands to decide how you build out and customize your hero's talents. We can't wait to see what shenanigans and strategies you uncover in Junkenstein's laboratory. So be sure to jump into this brand new game mode and let us know what you think. Alrighty.
All right, dude, I gotta jump in because I do feel like this is a secret, sneaky thing, and I think it's fantastic. So first and foremost, I want your thoughts, Nick. What is your impression so far of the developer update and the specific what they're talking about here, where it's Junkenstein's ability changing thing?
Fun game mode. Probably should be brought back once a month. Like, without even playing it, like I can tell you right now, it should probably be brought back once a month. It's a little break from, you know, what I experienced in Overwatch.
Well, I'm going to tell you my thoughts because you're right. And like, I got to play a couple games earlier today because it just launched with season 13 today. But regardless of the playtime thing, I think this is a very sneaky developer way to test new features and changes to the format of the game. So hear me out.
Yeah, 100%.
The one thing I need to say that he did not say is that when you play this game mode, I don't think you can change heroes. You select the hero and then you can't change. So first and foremost, that might be a solution to Counterwatch, right? The constant swapping between teams because rock beats paper and paper beats, all that stuff, right? I know that wasn't correct, but you get the point.
No, I'm laughing because it's not like I haven't said that on this channel.
This might be their sneaky way of testing that as a solution to the game mode in general, but then they're also testing rollout kits, equipment. And it's not a sophisticated equipment as we saw earlier with Super Vibe where it evolves, or maybe as more in depth with League of Legends and Dota, but it's still a kit that every round you get a new ability or like a asterisk on that ability where you can just shift your power, your player power, your character power, your hero power, whatever you want to call it, etc., which then impacts how you play or maybe how you adapt to playing against the other team. Now, those two things I think are the main sneaky focus here because those two things have been the biggest complaint about countering in Overwatch to solo tanking in 5v5, where it's one tank just gets beat by the other tank, so then you have to switch or you just get flamed. You're not doing well because the healer is not, playing the comp right, etc. We've all been there, that normal experience you were talking about, Nick. So I think this is a sneaky way for them to test out these features and how it works in function in actual play, even if it isn't a serious game mode. I think they're going to get a lot of play data to see how it works out. And then I think, I want to throw this last part out there. This is awesome because it's finally putting some fucking PvE into this PvE expected game. They're finally using these talents that have probably been around for so long. So it's nice to see. So a little clap for that. Awesome. Hype for that. But yes, I think those are the two main reasons and the two cool sneaky parts of this patch currently. Any response?
No, I mean, like that's exactly what a couple other companies have done that we've already spoken about it, right? That's like Plunderstorm was an example of this, right? Just testing the waters, testing out new things, seeing what can happen. Riot does this all the time with like new game modes. I was just telling you, Summoner's Ultimate Spellbook was back. We have a ton of them in League. Just like fun things or, things that just change the game and change the way you play inherently. I mean, the real secret to this one is probably that they're actually going to rework Moira into a DPS character soon. Like, it's just like, because everybody like doesn't play her properly. And even when you do, you kind of get flamed unless you're winning, to be honest. Like, that's just the kind of way like Moira is.
You are playing her properly. That is how she should be played. Yeah. At that point, I know we've talked about too, where a lot of people go into it thinking the World of Warcraft mentality. They are healers, not supports, but supports mean you do damage. Just like if you go into a Mythic Plus or high-end rating, those healers, and whenever they have downtime, they're pumping damage into the boss. So it's not just heal bot the tank soaks everything. But anyway, yeah. Moira, people have had complaints about her kit not feeling very depthful, not a lot of skill expression. Hey, maybe this is another aspect that actually makes it a little bit of skill expression. Let's go all damage or all healing or both. It's a little different thing. But anyway, yeah, I hear you on that one. That's a good point to make where those backline Moiras.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the beam be like healing or just damage or something like that, right? But this is I said this in Overwatch 1 to you. Like, I thought Mei should have been changed in Overwatch 2 to become a tank. I thought Mei would have been like a really, really cool tank the way that like she was before. You could have turned the the freezing down. They took it away because it's pretty busted on like a DPS character. Unlike a tank, it's not too crazy where he's like, I froze one of them and I'm in the front line, right? So like, I think this is like really like just really interesting things. Like, Torbjorn should probably become a tank, to be honest.
Interesting. Yeah, that might be an interesting point.
DPS characters that aren't really good and are hard to balance around should become tanks, and healers that people don't use properly should become DPS. Like, it's a pretty good change, to be honest.
So then tanks that end up being bad, like Malga and Roadhog, because the kit should just turn and be healers?
No, DPS. They become DPS, right? Roadhog should be a DPS. Malga should be the DPS version of Rhine. But, whatever.
I know, yeah, but cool. That point, yeah. All right, let's get into the rest of this dev update and see what else has in store for us. Just as we get past the Moira coalescence again, all blue beam all the time.
Bro, that's not blue. Just so we're clear, that's purple, homie.
Come on, man, I'm colorblind. Don't tell me that.
Yeah, me too. I was just trying to help you out, so you don't get. Now everybody knows they can't say anything in the comments.
Right. Okay.
This guy doesn't even know what purple is. How could he even talk about esports? Like,
let's get back into the video.
See what shenanigans and strategies you uncover in Junkenstein's laboratory. So be sure to jump into this brand new game mode and let us know what you think. Alrighty, shifting gears into some of the other changes this season, let's talk through some of our map reworks. Dorado, Numbani, Circuit Royale, and Havana all have reworks at season launch. And one of the main goals behind all these changes is to address balance across the maps for both attackers and defenders. But let's get into a few of the specific changes. For Dorado, we're reducing harsh defender lines of sight to prevent spawn camping. We also added a new staircase in Area 2 that makes the high ground more accessible for attackers. Additionally, we shortened some flank routes and adjusted cover placements around the whole map. With Numbani, we simplified the capture point in Area 1 and made it more accessible to the attacking team. We also added a defender forward spawn in Area 3 to make it easier for defenders to get back to the payload as it's moving through Area 2. Area 3 also saw some changes to various angles and flank routes. On Circuit Royale, we made adjustments to combat spawn camping across all 3 areas. The first attacker's spawn has been adjusted to reduce spawn camping with added cover and by removing the stairs that overlook the spawn doors. Flank options were also added in Area 1 to contest defenders on high ground and in Area 2 for attackers to take the rear high ground. In Area 3, sightlines were improved to help attackers poke at the defenders in the final area. And lastly, for Havana, we adjusted high ground access and spawn room pathing to reduce spawn camping. New routes and scale adjustments have been added to Area 2. And finally, blocked lines of sight and cleaner navigation in the final area should give both teams a variety of smoother options when approaching the final point. We're looking forward to seeing you play through these reworks and hearing what you think. Next up, my teammate Cynthia is going to share.
I want to stop us there because I want to talk about these map reworks. This is huge. I took a look at this. A lot of the consensus from a lot of different people that have been speaking about it is this is money. This is a big W for how they've changed the map. So I want to kind of take a look at each of them different stuff, point out some of the major changes, because it looks like they've taken a lot of the map friction into consideration and have adapted it so that there's fair play. Fair play for attacking, fair play for defense. And I think a main consensus you might see across these maps is that they're removing spawn camping. I think 4 of the 5 maps that have been reworked are ones that you would regularly see spawn capping happening in your ranked game, especially at higher levels, as well as the top level play of OWCS, OWL, historically speaking. So I'm going to move us over into right here. Here we go. The maps. I also have to update my earbud because it's dying, but as I do, let's open up Circuit Royale map and we can take a little bit of the specific look here. So here's the before picture of Circuit Royale. I think I gotta change it a little bit. Here we go. I think that's as big as I can get it for now, but here we go. Okay, here's the first point for Circuit Royale, and this is before. Most times you'd see players basically like defending teams would stack on the balcony up here and they would spawn camp. And it was a really hard time for attacking teams to make anything happen for it. Then we look at the after picture. They added a door to above the balcony so you can contest it. And then they have the stairs on the side here a little bit different. And that's going to make a big difference when we see the next picture here. They also added the cover in the front of the 2 doors to make it a little easier to like walk out of spawn and not just get like annihilated by a widow, etc. Right? Skip into that's 10 because of the file format, but we're going to be looking at right here. This is the before picture. You have the ramp of the stairs going up on the defender side. This caused a lot of problems because there's a lot of cover for a defending tank. That's usually where they held. That was a lot of cover for a DPS to get a nice angle to the race car, to the F1 car that you're pushing to the side. So you couldn't take any sort of wide angle. And then it left the close angle just being inside that door as you go up. And like, then you're basically fighting, you know, from a small hole, a little choke, right? So this is the before aspect of it. Now, after the fact, here we are. They basically got rid of the stairs. They added a door to the second part so defenders can still go up there, but, you know, they have to, you know, interact with that downstairs door. They have the cover, etc. And like the last thing you can see is in the back there, the door. And that adds like a wraparound angle over. Nick, Circuit Royale, was it a map you got to play a couple times, more than a couple times? How do you feel like?
I've played it more than a couple times. I mean, like, I don't know. Do you know my opinions on spawn camping in this game?
I do not. So this is going to be a great first live impression take. Let's go.
You should be punished in this game for spawn camping. Like, they should spawn behind you. Yeah.
Oh, like you mean
you should be hella punished for moving too far into the enemy and like towards the enemy spawn. There is only one spawn point in this game. It's a big friction point for me because a lot of low ELL players, and this is no disrespect, you're all sharks. You don't look up, you don't look down, you look forward and you move forward because you spawn and there's nothing behind you. There's nothing next to you. There's nothing to the right, to the left. I think it's a big, terrible point for this game as a whole. But like this stuff is like, you know, it's cool that they're changing certain things, but does that change, you know, how effective certain people are depending on the map with like what update they're doing and stuff like that? Like, you know, certain champions aren't as good anymore in certain scenarios. But
we're going to definitely see a little bit later how that question is answered or not answered. But I think that's right. In the very least, the map is almost like it's literally the container that you're in. So it's, you know, if you're like water, it allows you to be more flexible. It doesn't mean these players will be flexible, but if the map didn't allow them to be more flexible, they wouldn't be. So at least now they have more bandwidth to be flexible. Will they be flexible is yet to be seen, but the players who got it will get it and make it happen. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one pans out on this map rework wise. And like the spawn camping thing, I don't disagree with you, but in that way, I do want to see, you know, I like seeing how they are changing this and adapting these maps who were complained about pretty famously as being defender friendly or spawn camped, etc. So here we have the second part of Circle Royale. The sports car here, the doors up is I want you to focus on, and that wall behind the bistro lights. We're going to see basically a door pop up for that flank angle, so you can attack where most hit scan DPS stand from the defender side. Now they can be, aggressed without walking across this big gaping street. Also, the car is now an SUV, so a lot more cover there, a lot more of a situation. Let's see how the angles pan out. And the final thing is there's a sign where the entrance, where that theater is over there, where the bend of the street is. And that allows you to, has a door to go up, but it gives you a little bit more cover to then stay there and, counter that angle perhaps. So overall looking pretty good, pretty solid of a rework. But the big change to Circuit Royale is going to be this hill. Everybody complained about this hill. This hill was monstrous trying to get up, and a good DPS, a good team would hold that height advantage. Because that's like you said, low elo players, they don't get it. They don't understand angles. They don't understand height. And the simplest way to put it is if I'm at an angle, if I'm looking down at you, I see more crit box. I see more head. So I can shoot head more. Simple as that. That's all. And then I have the floor. It works like a wall because I can just move back and now I've got cover. So those are the two very vaguely said reasons why the height is good. And that's the advantage that you'd have here on this hill with that break in the barrier and these two different spots. And the attackers just didn't have anywhere to hide. They could hide around the corner in the building, but they couldn't do anything. Here's the changes we're seeing. Here, they lower the height of the hill. They changed the barrier a little bit. They got rid of the gap between the barriers and underneath the barriers where Hanzos and Widows would put some sneaky headshots through. They added another barrier on the left side of the map here, so you can work your way along the wall as an attacker. We're going to see in a second that there's a door here that you can go up to that balcony in the back, wrap around, potentially create an off angle, a deep off angle to give space to your team as a flanker, as a Genji tracer, etc. Maybe even a soldier, put those legs to work. So great to see how this already looks. I think maybe this wall is a little bit taller too. I can't tell for sure. Maybe it's my eyes playing with me because of the joining the hill, but love to see that specifically. And here's another angle of this bend. Here's the before of it. You can see how at the start of the bend, the doors closed off, the height, the gates are a little bit blocked, etc. Now we're going to go to the after, and there's now a door on the far right. So we were saying wrap around. They wrap around from the start of the bend. There's cover on the hill on the attacker side. The cover on the defender side isn't as oppressive. It blocks line of sight a bit more. So all good changes I'm liking to see here. Nick, again, I know you don't like spawn camping. We're not talking about spawns right now. How was your experience with this hill? What are your thoughts on this specifically? Because this is a pain point a lot of players have.
It's the saying of yeah, man, it's like just all uphill from here. It's awful.
It's not even just one hill. It's two hills you'd have to go around and get. You'd get that capture point right there where the checkered line is. But then as you get around the bend, you're stuck in the open again too.
It's amazing for lore, but it's terrible for gameplay.
It's all uphill both ways.
It's such a beautiful map. It's such a beautiful map, but it's just horrendous. Radiant, this is just an awful little thing, And it just becomes harder and harder to play with people that you're not actually having good synergies with. Not even the champions, just people themselves, right? If you're not meshing with them, the way that it was, it just made it a lot harder for you to try to help, try to assist, try to mesh with them forcefully, right? So this makes it a little bit easier for those players who are trying to be more of team players and trying to help their team win when, other people aren't particularly playing that way.
A container gives them more room to flex. So we'll see who steps up and uses that room. I want to run through the major changes for some of the other points. For the rest of Circuit Royale, this room on the left side here opens more space for an angle, so you can contest and not just be like choked out here when you're defending or attacking. That's a third point room. The balcony at the end, a third point on the side. They widened the side here. They added the barrier and the tree. They added the fountain, so it doesn't feel like no man's land. Anytime anybody went up here, is pretty much like, what are we doing here? This is so painful. I can't wrap around. I can't create any sort of friction or like distraction for the team. So this looks like it's a pretty good change. It's going to make it a little bit easier for flankers, etc. Without the threat of Lucio just knocking you off. You've got some room to work, some room for counterplay. The last change here. Okay, yeah. This is the attacker's second point spawn. They added a second door on the left here, not just the right. The window is bigger and then the archway is taller. So now it's not as much of a choke for defenders advantage. There's a little bit more give to the attackers because this last dash was always again painful to push through. And this was one of the reasons and one of the maps I'd say that map dictates teamwork more than the players do at those elos, especially in like gold and plat. The map will force these players to fight at places you're supposed to fight at and force players to play a specific way you're supposed to play. Supposed to meaning, you know, healthy way for value, for not getting like just clicked. And like this was one of those maps where this third point really forced the defending team to play right. And we're seeing a change where now attackers will have a little bit more tools in their arsenal to overcome that. So another great big change right here. All right. Nick, unless you had anything else to touch on with Circuit Royale, I want to show us a couple and like fly through the other ones here for Dorado, for Numbani, because they're also equally interesting. Does that sound good?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Dorado, first point. They're adding the elevator on the left building, the pink building here. This was famously where a lot of dive tanks, you have to play dive on this map because Winston, Diva, etc. can just stay up here, stall up here, create such a drastic high ground advantage where you're spawn camping and that just snowballs. And you have your Ana in the back on either the the archway or the left side of the archway there where they're safe and they're not being threatened, and the monkey can just come back, the Diva can come just back up and get healed up and then go back for the attack. So now the attackers have this elevator to contest that. The yellow building was an alternate building people could stand on between the pink and the yellow. You know, change your angle, mix it up a little bit. That now has a roof, so you cannot. And then the attacker's spawn has a barrier that's moved to the outer wall here at the top rather than inside. Because I don't know about you, and I'd famously see Genjis, I'd famously see Sombras up there just like aggressively holding and like locking people down out of that top portion here. So that's the big change here on point one.
I got something to say about that area.
Yeah,
like
what's up, man?
The elevator's stupid. The elevator's garbage. A lot of the fighting happens on the ground. No. Like a lot of the pain point happens on the ground. And then you're going to get on an elevator. It makes you fucking useless. Like that's actually stupid change. Put a fucking bridge from the spawn point on top right here all the way to the thing. Just put the bridge.
Interesting.
A bridge with like, railways or something that gives a crouch down, do something. But like, you're going to do the fight and then you're going to stand stationary? That's what you're fucking telling me? That was your solution? Hey guys, I understand this is a pain point. People get spawn camps. So go ahead, brawl for a second. Hopefully you win the brawl because then you get to stand on an elevator for 10 seconds. What goofball came up with that? Like for real.
Well, man, in that way too, like if we take a look at this map, I wonder if I can zoom in a little bit more. Open image.
Does that change make you not pick Winston still?
I think you do pick Winston more, but the biggest part about that is the elevator. There's still a wall here. It's not like flat off the front part, which is where you'd see a lot of tanks hold. They'd hold this this angle at the front, you know, these front two corners, because their healers would give them line of sight there and they could stay being held and give them ult charge. So they were really holding on that side of this archway. So I wonder then, you know, that wall here really combats the thing that you're saying. Otherwise, aesthetically, I kind of agree. Like, it doesn't make sense that there's an elevator there. I like the idea that you had, like you're saying, like, why not just have an archway go from that building to that building, maybe not have it covered. And like, you know, that's how you fight. You go out the spawn point from there to contest that. But yes, I do feel like this will help solve it a little bit. How much, I guess, is, you know, you make a fair point. How much will it actually work and implement? Because the reason why I think it will work. The reason why I think it will work is because most of the time that Winston, that Diva, they're standing up at the point over here closer to that car, the front of the street here.
Yeah, unless like your team is getting egregiously destroyed and camped, which happens quite a lot to people.
And at that point, they're in this area around the point, around the truck, or like in the archway. Like they're not really on top of the building when it's that.
But it's not making them choose, right? Like, so it's not really changing much about the way everybody's interacting with it, because the people who are defending are interacting in the exact same way as they were before. Like there might be a slight change here or there, but it's the exact same interaction happening. So like if you did put the bridge, right? And it's like, damn, now I'm the monkey. I can't be on the floor anymore. I got to jump back up. So now I have to use it as like an engage tool instead of a disengage. Right? Because they're on the top of me now. Now I got to jump up there or ride this elevator motionless. Like keep the elevator. I don't even care. Like that's how pointless it is. But sorry, I'm laughing. Like that's a super frustrating pain point for me, because I've done that to people. I've literally been the person who's done this and giggled the whole time, because you should not be able to do it. Like.
Yeah, it might be basically a comp change. This might benefit a Reinhardt or an Orisa or even a Malga, just to get up to the top and like contest the monkey at the top. You know, monkey versus monkey. Yeah, you're right. You almost still have to jump to engage on that. Diva, you almost have to use boosters to engage up here, and then you're kind of SOL at the top. But we'll see how that pans out for this map specifically, how people, you know, play with it. But honestly, this is not the one that's controversial. Let me go over into let me go to the second section here. Anyway.
I don't know nothing about this game. Someone's gonna hit me in the comments like, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah,
like,
if birthday boy Nick here is an idiot, let us know in the comments. Let us know on their social media.
No, I agree. Don't
with the hashtag true.
Hit me in the DMs. I already know. Hashtag true. You don't even have to say I'm stupid.
So here's the second part of this point around the fountain. The big change here is the line of sight with these markets. They have an extra path going between it, so it's not as oppressive. And I think this is going to play a big role in after you capture the first point. The spawn doors go into this heart room for the attackers, and a lot of times people would hide behind here, but this gives a little bit more vantage point. So we'll see how that gets pushed by the defenders. Otherwise, there's a little wall on the left side here. You can kind of see on the other side of the fountain, adds a little bit more cover, maybe a little more impedance for people trying to wrap in and out. Maybe, I think that might even be a second door into that room with the mini as well. So small changes on this part. That's going to make a big difference, I feel like.
Yeah, you were kind of out in the open right there. Like as DPS, you kind of had to stay like right on the street. So like for some of them, right? So that's a nice change. I like that change.
Right. And here we are with the big change on Dorado. It's 0.2 zone 2, the courthouse, basically. This was another one where it's a heavy top down aspect. You need high mobility, high mobility characters or dive characters to be able to get up on this ledge, defend it. Players who knew how to use it, who can hit shots, did so and held you here. And it was such a shooting fish in the barrel moment for a lot of players. So this is how they changed it. They lowered the ramp a little bit, the height of it, and then they added the stairwell on the first here. So they widened that, so you're not just going to get booped off. They added more cover technically here to the underpass of the courthouse. And then you still have everything else kind of the same here. This one I feel like is a super duper change. They're going to make it way more friendly for a Reinhardt. Absolutely, between these two things that we were talking about, the elevator and the stairs here. You don't have to wrap all the way around to the coast, come back through the courthouse, and then contest. Like, they're going to read that from a mile away. Now you can move up fairly quickly with a direct pathing, or you can go inside and under the same sort of way. Love to see it. Definitely a great change there. Just to kind of wrap up Dorado real quick, the big thing we're seeing is the actual point on point 2 is they added more cover. They added this sign here on the run side. They've got tiered steps, so there's more cover for a defender, kind of walking back. There's more cover for the attacker defender and the steps on the far side here, where they have like a block up to the roof there. You have more like kind of nook to hide behind. I think they've kind of changed the height, or maybe it just looks that way, of the box on the ground, because there was some tech with like Brig and some other characters. I think Tracer, you're able to get up there. So they might have shifted that around. The one thing you can't see is that they closed the window. So sightlines have closed a little bit from the courthouse out to this area as well. But that's like the last big change for here. You know, point 4, they added this wall here. They added the brick on the path. This point was fairly already kind of there, but we're basically seeing them encourage. We'll see what else changes when we actually get into it, but they're encouraging more of a wraparound onto high ground, able to contest it, not just get choked out down on the main. All right, let's move into the next map, which is Havana. This is another one where it's like snipers only, and those who can click heads win. First point, straight up. The big change is going to be this window. They close it off. So they closed off a sniper point. You only have the one on the right and the one on the left, which gives you distinctly different angles. That is also going to be paired with the actual spawn. There's a door that comes out the top, just like it does in Junkertown. We'd see a lot of teams spawn camp Havana, especially on top of the gas station here, and make those pushes a move. There's another box there, but now teams can come out on top. They can contest up here directly. Maybe an attacker, even a Sombra, but we'll see how that works with the rework. They can just hide up here and kind of give a little bit of a backline presence while they mess with the team. But
I doubt this changes much.
I think it really changes the whole idea of a total spawn camp, because I think competent teams will be able to counter spawn camps and
sure, it might take away. It definitely will probably take away some of like the spawn camping. But like you're still like this whole first bend area is pretty egregious. I really don't. I'm not the biggest fan of this map. In certain spots,
not many people are,
and I'm sure it's understandable why. Like I've never hated a spawn in any of the maps more than Havana.
Yeah,
to be honest.
And I think I should clarify too. It definitely will reduce spawn holding, like a whole team, because if you hold them for more than 30 seconds, you've gotten value. You're taking away at least 1 or 2 team fights by holding up close, where they have to use ults, use abilities to get through you. So if you do that for more than 30 seconds, worth it, because by the time they get to the next point where you should fight, which is going to be the next corner, you're still good. You have a lot of time. Right? You're just taking more fights. So if you could do that for more than the 30 seconds, that's why spawn holding made sense. And I think this gives it a lot more risk. The thing that, where is it? I'm not sure if they shown it. All right. So I don't think they show it here, but the attacker spawn right behind this window. So we're looking at the spawn right behind. They added a couple of trees and a banner that goes across the top to also impede sight lines down into this area. So like, snipers from the original like sniper nest on the long road, they're not going to be able to make as clean of a fight up of a pick. They'll have to finagle a little bit more, take a little bit more creative angles, and these teams will have a little bit more cover to work around on this. So I don't have a picture right now to show you, but that is the other big change for this part. Literally where you're looking down this road, that's where. The other thing is that the height on the far balcony has also been lowered. So it's a little bit more accessible by other characters, not just, the high mobility ones. Moving into point 2, this was always another area that was always tough. But, we saw we'll see in the video, I guess they added an extra spawn room for the third point, and they made tier levels here of different like cover points with stairs and platforms so that defenders or attackers can, finagle and you have some variety. They're not just going to have to run it down mid or run it from afar and just hope to get a pick with a poke comp. So that's good to see. Love to see it. Here's the spawn room change we were just talking about. They have a third door. Oh, sorry. 3 doors total. They open this up so you can go back into the warehouse. And then the last one, which is super duper important here, I want to talk about is the castle. The castle choke was huge. It sucked for a lot of people. They're adding a lot of Talon lore paraphernalia on the walls here, but more or less they added stairs so you can wrap around. They here's the before. they had the stairs and you had to go in and then you could climb into a hole in the under part here, but nobody ever did it. Not a lot of people could do it. And it made no sense to wrap all the way around coast past the mega inside that deep flank. That sucked. So they opened it up, made it a little bit easier for teams just to swoop into the low ground, swoop back to the beginning of the gate, the other side of the bridge. So they're not running down the middle of the road. They can use cover to get to that point, or they can go deep flank. Or if you have mobility, you go into the hole in the wall on the coast side here, just, up, provide some cover, maybe create some space. Looking at these changes, I love them. I want to play with them, see how they actually pan out. But this was one of those chokeholds where it's like it really dictated team play and it created an advantage where defenders had an easy time per se, because the map let them, gave them that advantage, gave them the easy time. Here, it'll be cool to see how people are creative on attacking, maybe even defending. They're going to have to throw another DPS to that first door here just to watch that flank and then collapse back so you at least can scout. But huge change, and I think it's going to make a big difference in games here. Nick, I'm about to move into Nubani, but any thoughts with Havana as we kind of move on?
No, they know. You know what needs to happen, right? Especially in that area. For like, if your tank ever fell down there, like the rage that happened for you. Like you just screaming. It was like you stubbed your toe times 10. It was awful just to fall down that hole. So,
and like, what else is the tank supposed to do? Like, the tank will only ever want to run down main, push the cart down across this bridge, walk basically in the middle of the road. You're going to get hit by a car. And that's what would happen all the time. So they'd get mad. I'm not getting enough healing. And then they go Roadhog and then your game was over. So at least now with this change, instead of just having to walk across the bridge, they can go to the other side here, come along coast, maybe wrap underneath and try to open it up, maybe swing back, a lot of interesting, cool things, and we'll see the creativity happen here. So definitely. Next move up, we're going to check out Nubani. Nubani's huge because they're basically shrinking the map in a lot of different ways. Here's the spawn point after. You can't really tell from here, but they've moved the spawn doors closer up and they've gotten rid of a lot of the junk that was back here. Great for lore, but nobody ever fought here. So here's the before. You have a bridge and the spawn point still another like 30, 40 meters behind that.
This was a hike. This whole map is a hike. Like, just to get to that
easily
first
waste 15
fight,
seconds,
man, we're going to fight inside of a door? Come on. Like, this was like fighting inside of the door, or what? Come on, guys, we got to push up the road. Go up the 90 degree. Like, it's pretty brutal.
And like some of the worst case scenarios, you'd only see defenders push to this bus. Like, this was like generally as far as they would go. Sometimes you'd have the memers try to, let's touch spawn door and stuff. But like, generally speaking, like, you'd only ever see teams fight here. Now with the spawn door changes, they moved everything up. They got rid of the bridge right there. The bus is still there, but shifted a little bit. They added a new door on the top here so you can contest the high ground that most players stand on when they start this map. So all good changes with that. Love to see that. Here's actually that spawn door from the spawn that you can just easy walk up. Nothing really to talk about here. But the first point is going to have the biggest change, I think, on this map. And here's the, let me see. Here's the before picture. Here's the point. You've got stairs on the inside and then it wraps to the outside to go to the balcony. And then it wraps all the way behind to get to the other balcony. Here's the after. They've removed those stairs and they added like a jump puzzle with the grass platforms there, but they've officially moved it so that it's on the outside. Here's a picture. Generally speaking, the stairs are now on the outside of coast coming around to first point where that mega would be. It leads there. So now you have flankers that can have a route they can contest. They don't need to be too vulnerable by going into the point and then up the stairs. They could, they don't have to be full mobility. You can have a Reinhardt comp, just Lucio into the back here. They can wrap all the way around the back, go up to the high ground, across the point, contest there. So this is the big change. And I think we're going to see a lot more fights happen over here. A lot more transitions and movements happen on the backside here. All right. That's, here's the different angle just for all of our viewers. I'll try to, they're at, nothing really different here on the first point. the points in the same spot. The cars are in the same spot. The heights have been changed a little bit. You can see that the close high ground is maybe a couple meters lower than it used to be. Yeah, it's more even on the previous one. They've lowered it just a little bit, but they also added another spawn door on the high ground for second point. When you cap this first point, they added a spawn door on the high ground where you see a lot of defenders place initially, because it is sometimes oppressive to get spawn camped here. All right. Lastly, for Numbani, we've got this famous curve. Nick, this is the before image. How many times have you been held here? Because I know I've been quite a few, and I've done quite a few holding here as well. Yeah, this
Most
corner.
of the time, remember, I play support, bro. I'll just leave your junky ass if you just stay like.
Has your team ever stalled here? They can't get around this corner. Have you ever like been able to hold another team at this corner?
Yeah, no, this is where like I feel like supports become heroes and do all the damage. Like no, this is a really, really brutal one. Just like the angles alone, just walking around a corner, walking straight. It's pretty brutal right here. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't really like the green. I think the green, anyway.
The Jeep thing here?
No. Because that one's blue-ish teal. No, the green bus. Like there's like little things that like little tiny things that like I would change. I didn't even see this change, but I would want this big thing in the middle removed.
Well, hold on, because this is the before picture.
Let's get to the after picture. That's what I'm saying. Okay. I don't know the after picture. I'm saying like, I don't know the after picture. Here's what I would like to see. I don't like the green bus. And then the poster that's right next to the green bus, I kind of
the column is kind of like annoying. The
column with the statue on it is super annoying. There's probably.
All right, let's take a look and see what happened. I think they kind of a little bit of wish fulfillment there. They moved the bus to the second corner alongside the building. I think they agreed with you. It was too much of a big block for them to move around so they added these columns here. It's a little more rounded, so it opens up the angle of that second curve. It opens up more of an angle in front of that. I think that specifically makes that statue column a little bit less oppressive or dynamic, just like right there. So I think it's not the poster column isn't bad now. I don't think it really was too bad before, but like I can see with the bus, it like kind of does create that like narrow, weird sort of spot. This opens it up, and that's predominantly what the biggest change here, because you can, angle contest it, you can fight it differently, you can approach it differently. People aren't as covered, etc. I do want to see if you could jump up the grass to the second grass and get up on that platform, because that was a way attackers, they could hop on the bus. Certain characters can hop on the bus and then hop onto that platform there behind the statue. So it will be nice to see if that makes any big changes, but that's probably the biggest thing with Numbani. The last specific point, I think I've said that already, but it's really the end of second point, the beginning of third point. They're adding another door stairs. So A, it looks like you can go up to the high ground here on the outside a little easier. And B, you're able to wrap inside to where the mega is on the other side of the tunnel. So that's the big change on that part. I believe that's all they're showing here. We'll see if there's any more specific changes for the maps in general. But huge changes. Mostly I think are pretty solid, pretty good. As a takeaway, I like that they're open to these changes. This was a season that they didn't have a character, a champion, a hero coming out. So and a new map not coming out. So doing this season as a season of let's listen to the community and let's change these pain points that they've had, I think is pretty solid. Nick, overall, your interpretation of that so far, is it good? Is it bad? Is it TBD? We'll see how we play on it as I prep us into the next part of this.
I think a couple of those things are, they're pretty solid changes overall, but I would be worried about the value of people's movement, like going up when you make the maps easier to traverse and stuff like that. It adds more value to Juno and to, Lucio and stuff like that. Or, right. Maybe Genji gets a little bit better in certain cases, right? Where he has a little bit more freedom with certain movement on the map, or certain defenses and stuff like that. So we'll see how it's going to open everything up, right?
Right. And it's also good to say, like, an Ashe can then maybe get up to the spots without using her coach gun. Whereas previously, like you said, you need to engage with Leap, and now you can save it for disengaging kind of stuff. Ashe might be able to now walk upstairs rather than using coach gun to get the high ground, so she can disengage or counter with coach gun. So it'll be cool to see, like you said, how it pans out. And like, it does create a variety of opportunities for a lot of different heroes, some that we don't even expect. But another thing we didn't expect that I want to transition us to really quickly before we actually do the patch notes. They added a new feature, and I'm going to play this video real quick. It's still the same video, but I want to bring this part of the video to light just to show you, is that they added a quick access ability to mute players, report players, etc. So here we go. Right on the scoreboard, you hit tab, you press the middle mouse button, I think. You can mute them. You can just mute their text so they don't type to you. You can report them. You can also change the volume knob. So a great UI change. Just for the general players. And like Nick, like you said, there's that one person who's typing and not playing, get rid of them. And I wanted to spotlight this real quick.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's already a system like that in a couple other games. So it's like a nice welcome change for stuff like this, right? But
yeah,
it just goes to show you like you don't have to what I said about other games that people can be toxic, right? But they don't have to type or say anything and still be toxic.
Absolutely, absolutely. But here, at least, if they are typing in there, they're talking, you can mute them and just not deal with them as well. So,
true.
All right. Time for the patch notes. Season 13 started today. Those were the map reworks and changes. Now we're going to get to the hero changes. And I think I'm going to start this off by saying, Nick, guess what? You were right.
Oh, was I? What happened? Oh, look at Malga. Look at Malga.
Top and center, Malga change. All right. I just want to make sure before we go into it, there's a lot of words before you get to Malga, but they're just talking about what the season is. They're adding My Hero skins coming up this week. Halloween starting this week. They're adding mastery for Cass and Brig. Talking about the scoreboard changes that we just highlighted as well, muting, joining, leaving, reporting, etc. They're tuning matchmaking a little bit, which is important for wide queues. They're going to focus on tank deltas, basically making sure that the tank matchups is closer, predominantly, because you'd see a lot of games that were tank diffs, and it's because that skill gap, just because of the way that you were queued into it, etc. That's what I think they're a little bit alluding to. But that's what a lot of this text is talking about. They're getting rid of, they're making it harder to hit top 500, meaning you have to win 1,700 games to be able to be eligible for streamer mode and to be eligible for top 500, I think. I'm not entirely sure.
The streamer protect, you mean?
The streamer mode, yeah, streamer protect. So to hide your name, you need to complete an achievement that you win 1,700 games to be able to get required to that. So that kills a lot of hiding random accounts. It kills a lot of alternate accounts, but
So why not just make your name display as whatever champion you're playing?
No, it kind of just does a random name. It's just randomly puts in
yeah, I know. I'm just saying why not just make it Ramantra? Is that player's name when they're playing Ramantra? Because we're not calling them by their name. We're saying that fucking Genji won't switch off Genji, bro. That fucking Hanzo, dude. We're not saying that, but that's what we're all thinking, right? We're calling them by whatever champion they're playing. So just in general, just make it that.
I do think with the username, I do think the username though thing, this is more for a streamer. Streamers are playing a lot. The 1,700 is not a problem if you're playing the game. And it's wins in any mode. It's not just comp. It's wins in any mode. And we could talk about the ins and outs of it, but I'd like to move us into, like I said, the patch notes. There's a lot of words here: shop updates, competitive updates. Win requirement to get to top 500 is 25, but you need to have the season competitor challenge to be eligible, meaning 750 lifetime wins. Again, they don't want people basically camping those things. They don't want people just logging in and then logging out and not playing anymore. They want people to be with accounts that are attach it more to the player, and this is an effort to doing that rather than see the randomness and ranks. Rank camping kind of stuff, and that can be an argument for decaying, etc. But all conversations we can have. But I want to get us into the hero update. Swapping hero hides your selection on enemy scoreboard for 15 seconds. Another little thing, possibly likely a band-aid thing for the counterwatch sort of meta. But generally speaking, if I swap to Hanzo, you're not going to see that for 15 seconds. Mostly this is for the tank v tank. If you're sitting outside of spawn and you're just basically playing chicken with each other, you can't really do that anymore. Does this actually fix counterwatch? No, but it might incentivize behavioral differences because a lot of it is behavioral, social aspect of it. So what's that, Nick?
Try to just make it they can try to code it so that nobody knows what, it'll be whatever you present it as until someone sees you.
Until somebody sees it, yeah. You have to scout it to see it, right?
Yeah. Why are you giving information for no reason whatsoever?
Interesting. We'll see, that is a suggestion that we can pass along and one that makes sense. It might give more value to a Sombra or a Tracer who can go deeper, a Diva that can get out quicker and scout. Makes scouting way more important. It already is pretty important at the top level, but that's a interesting sort of aspect, a little twist on it. Let's move into the tank patches. We have Malga developer comment: increasing the duration of Malga's burn effect will help better reward going for the smaller, harder to hit targets. The changes specifically: ignite damage over time duration is increased from 3 to 4 seconds. It does feel bad trying to go after squishies. I don't know if this is entirely a great change for that, but maybe this is one. He's in an all right place right now. People don't like playing with him or against him, but maybe this is something that will give a little more of a skill ceiling, a little bit more of a choice to the Malga player, good Malga players, where you can pressure squishies and not just have to shoot the big target. We'll see if this actually does anything. But, to your point, Nick, you were right. Here's that Malga change, and this might be Malga creep, Malga power creep.
You never know, man. Whoever has some skins, dude.
This next one might be an interesting one. Ramatra. Pummel no longer pierces barriers. Now it deals 2.5 damage to barriers. So the dev comments: Ramatra's pummel projectiles passes through the barriers was a source of frustration for players trying to protect themselves or their allies. I mean, that's a lot of the play style, right? You would force them to back up, and then when they did, you'd go robot man and you'd start punching through the shield because, you could. Now it doesn't do that, which changes up the playstyle of the Reinhardts, perhaps, but it creates more pressure on the barriers. Will it be viable? Will it not? Any thoughts initially, Nick?
Well, let's see what they do to Reinhardt.
Well, the TLDR
is it gonna be
on
more
that
effective because Reinhardt is worse now.
He's been pretty solid, but more or less they reduced his shield to 100 health. So the matchup against Ryan is
more damage.
Right. Well, two shields. Before it passed through shields, it didn't do damage. 2 shields. So maybe this changes up the play for both of them. I think the Ryan had the slight advantage of Ramatra in general. But now I think it might be a little bit more even keeled, maybe more of a soft counter, because Ryan would be able to rush down Ramatra better, make him a block bot, and then the rest of the team could overrun him or overrun the rest of the team, whereas Ryan's shield protected more than just him. It was his team, but that's where the punch, it's going to just change the dynamics here, and we'll see how that goes. So very interesting points on that. Next up, moving into damage. Hanzo's health is being increased from 225 to 250. The developer comments are: we are reverting Hanzo back to his previous health now that it's possible to take out an opposing Hanzo with a well. Basically, they put their one shot back, and they don't want Hanzos to one shot other Hanzos. They want the sniper duel to kind of play out a little bit longer, not just random arrow around the corner, good shot, just place thing. So I don't know if I guess it makes sense, but it just feels like a nothing burger. It just feels like, okay. Our Sojourn change is going to be a fairly big one. Railgun energy no longer stops degenerating at 25. it'll just go all the way down to 0 rather than just staying at 25. And then, but they've increased the time it takes for it to decay from 7 to 12 seconds. So that's huge. You hold on to your energy longer, but it will go down to 0. They did put more power into disrupting shot. Damage was increased, and then it generates more energy for the railgun. So they're trying to shift it into a more skill base. The dev comment, these railgun changes swap out the 25 minimum energy it decays to for a longer time before it begins to degenerate, which alleviates some of the pressure to quickly use the secondary fire. So they're trying to just let you hold it for longer is their mindset here. Disruptor shot is getting a damage increase to help its effectiveness as an area denial tool and along with additional utility through generating a small amount of railgun energy. So I think they've saw a huge drop in Sojourn, and now they're trying to do like little tweaks back. But I think where Sojourn has been was good. This might just, let the skill players use the skill hero in a little bit more of a skillful way. Any thoughts on Hanzo and Sojourn so far, Nick, before we move into Sombra?
Not really. Right. Like Sojourn, I have noticed like the play rate go down. Like overall, I haven't seen him a lot more. Compared to what I used to see. Like I felt like I used to see Sojourn. Yeah, I thought it was like an every game kind of feel. So then they weren't. So it's to be expected that they get a little bit of buff. But let's see how they rework Sombra. Like when they change about Sombra.
You're going to either love it or hate it, Nick, but this is a big change. This is effectively a rework, but they're not really calling it a rework. I'm just going to start with the developer comments. This is a significant change to Sombra's playstyle in the hopes of making her more interactive for the opposing team and shifting some of her power from the utility of stealth and hack into increased lethality. Stealth having a limited duration, by the way, you're not perma-stealth anymore. Stealth having a limited duration less than the translocator cooldown is intended to create brief windows of vulnerability. It still enables Sombra to cross through dangerous areas unseen, but to really hang around in the enemy backline will require more moving from cover to cover, similar to other flanking heroes. No longer having the stealth movement speed removed upon taking damage also enhances its usefulness. So that's the mindset here, and here are the actual notes. Hack no longer breaks stealth, but it does reveal Sombra. Hack ability locks ability usage down to 1 second from 1.5, and Bob hack is down from 10 seconds into 3 seconds. So hack is less effective on Bob. Hack doesn't break you out of stealth if you're using stealth, and the duration of hack is only 1 second versus the 1.5 previously. Translocator cooldown has gone up from 5 to 7 seconds. I think this is going to be the one that you feel the most, because this is it's not your survivability. Stealth was your survivability. This was your movement. This was your in, your out, your dive, your countering, etc. But that 2 second difference is going to shift a lot of how you play. It's probably going to be the thing that a lot of people take a while to get used to. EMP cost went up 12%, and then stealth no longer passive and now activates when you use translocator. It has a 5 second duration and an added stealth timer. They added a reticle around the aim cursor. Taking damage reveals Sombra, but does not end stealth. So you're permanently stealth for the 5 seconds, but if you get close to somebody or you get damaged, you are revealed. They get to see that little shadow figure run by. So that's kind of nice, but it's a huge, huge change here. Finally, the last patch notes here for Sombra, Opportunist is going to be the new passive. Opportunity passive has been backed in, increasing Sombra's weapon damage versus hack targets by 20%. This was how Sombra was in Overwatch 1 at the beginning of Overwatch 2. It's a huge difference, and it changes that mindset. We're going to see some Sombra 76 play, but I think people are going to learn that they're going to try to play her like Tracer a little bit more Genji. But then the question is, why play Sombra over Tracer or Genji right now? What makes this good? And I think that's a little bit TBD. Is it verticality? Is it escapability? Like you're more flexible in your escaping? Are you more flexible in your staging? Are you less flexible in that way? It's a little bit tough to tell right now, but there's a lot here. Nick, I've said a lot with Sombra. Anything you want me to repeat and kind of like digest a little bit more? Or you Any thoughts there?
So my thought before we got down to it was like, if you're nerfing like the stealth, like in general, you have to buff damage, right? Or survivability, just in general, because it's just going to be like out there more. There's less like tricky stuff that you're going to be doing. Did I read it correctly? That stealth is only lasting 5 seconds after you use another cooldown?
So the way it works is that you throw a translocator. When you throw translocator and teleport, you go into stealth. You go into stealth for 5 seconds. The cooldown of translocator is 7 seconds. If you start shooting while you're stealth, you come out of stealth. If you hack, you stay in stealth, but you're revealed.
Okay, so how long does I don't play Sombra? How long does it take to hack somebody?
I think it said ability lockout.
No, that's the lockout.
Change.
Like
I know how long it takes to cast it. I think it's about a second. About a second. We can take a look at that specifically. Give me a second here. Overwatch wiki, but generally speaking, it takes about a second and a half to cast hack. What's your thought process on that question there? What are you looking at? What are you thinking?
I mean, if it's like a second or 2 seconds, right? That's effectively just saying you have 3 seconds of stealth, right? 3 or 4 seconds of stealth. Like like you already nerfed stealth. And then you're saying it only lasts for 5 seconds. And then I have to do I have to do that thing because you put opportunist in, right? So now my damage is definitely around opportunist, right? It's not like she's going to be really dueling anybody that isn't hacked. That would be suicide, right? Right. And so that's kind of my thought process is if you're eating up my 5 seconds, did you make it instant? Who knows? Right? Like
so
I don't play Sombra.
I did find the specifics, and it was reduced to cast time of 0.65 seconds, like a little bit more than half a second.
Okay. That's
so
right. That's reasonable.
Not changing.
I almost left almost half it. That's like half a second just in general if we were to
just round it to the
closest.
Yeah. Sorry, my brain was kind of trying to wrap my head around it. I got to play a couple games of Sombra today, and like it does feel different. And I don't know if it's like skill curve because like I'm learning the new changes, I'm getting used to it, or if it's like, oh, there's too much friction in numbers. But that's a good point where it's like, yeah, how long is the cast time? Because that can create a dissonance in like your flow, in your game flow. Are you supposed to hack? Are you not supposed to hack? If it's too long and it like not the value, it's going to impact your decision making when it comes to that stuff. So definitely a good question to ask. Definitely a good thing to check into. It is only 0.6 seconds, and we'll see if that makes the hugest difference in this new kit, new play style for Sombra, and how we move along and as it develops. Because who knows? This is all new ground, and we might see the old Sombra heads, put out. We might see all the people who hate Sombra just hate Sombra because they hate Sombra.
Invisibility is broken always. Every game that has invisibility, it is a toxic, cool ass ability. Like, let's be real. It's dope when you're invisible. It sucks when the enemy's invisible, right? Like,
absolutely.
It's just a toxic inherent thing. So like, you just kind of have to get on with it. But maybe like another thing that I'm thinking about too is like maybe when you're detected, like you might just get blown up, right? Like how long does that last? Like when you're just like a second.
Like when you're detected, if you're invisible and you run too close to somebody, or if they damage you, you're revealed for a second. So every instance of damage, it would be a second after that where you're revealed, but you're still technically stealth. I think I would maybe, if things aren't working, maybe give that reveal or stealth, give it like a damage reduction buff. Like maybe reduce damage taken while you're stealth by 20%. Something small. That might be like a workaround if there's too much friction here. But yes, currently, if you're revealed, the enemy team will see you for 1 second.
So what's the counterplay to Sombra normally, right? Besides like as a healer being like frustrated.
The counterplay is positioning and teamwork. So position in a way where the Sombra has to come from this angle. Of course, you could do Counterwatch, play a hero that Sombra can't dive as easy. A Moira. And then third is you stick with your teammates. If me and you, you're Cassidy and I'm Zen, I stick with you.
Okay.
And then I hope that, so that's traditionally
that's what I was getting at.
The counterplay to Sombra
would be Cassidy, right? So like that's what I was. That's like not just Cassidy, but just like a stun, like doing stuff like that, right?
No. It's simpler than that. Of course, yes, that stun helps that, but
I'm just trying to get to a point. That's all. Like I get what you're
Genji.
saying.
You know, if there's a Sombra being played and I'm Ana, I play next to one of my DPS. I play next to a tank. I basically have a buddy system. If there's a Sombra on the field, play with a buddy. If there's a Sombra on the field, put your back in a corner or around a corner so you can get out of dodge if she tries to dodge you. Like you know, basically jam her up with a wall. So it's like she's only coming from one specific way, and you know, otherwise like play Moira where you just fade.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was joking and say play it like she's a slow tracer. But
exactly.
But like my point being is that like there's gonna like a lot of those interactions are gonna happen more now that you're just like visible during that hack for like the 1 second, right?
Right. But that I think that depends on the play style. I don't think Sombra is gonna necessarily go on that deep flanks that she used to. Like in stealth, you'd be able to just sit in their backline and wait until the perfect moment arose, unless they flushed you out. Now I think you have to play more like a tracer. And if you're playing more like a tracer or a Genji, why play Sombra? Maybe play a tracer or Genji to your point in that too. It's a big conversation. We still have to see if anything different comes up from this.
That's all I got, dude. I was just trying to get to the point of like, you know, there's just more situations where jumping on Sombra is going to be a lot easier with you know, splash damage is going to make her seen, right? Just like any random sort of splash, any sort of damage. So, it's just an interesting thought of, anyway.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's move into the support category here. Baptiste, primary fire recoil being reduced by 30%. They say it's trying to reduce the fatigue resulting from controlling the recoil, the gun shooting over long periods of time. It is a little bit of a power buff because there's less spread, basically. You're not shooting up. You can kind of keep it tight. I don't think this is a huge change. Bapt has been pretty good. We'll still see them play out. Maybe they'll put out more damage for lower elos, but, you know, kind of whatever. Next up, Brig. Repair packs cooldowns have been increased. We're seeing a lot of Brig play right now with Juno. It's the main main duo you see with a Juno support. So nerfing her just slightly, the pack 5 to 5.5. And then lastly, Juno nerfs. This is another thing that you called it. They're nerfing Juno. Fallout range reduced from 30 to 50 meters down to 20 to 35. So a huge distance nerf, range nerf, meaning the fall off is you have to play closer. The fall off is going to be more impactful. She's more vulnerable when she's in the middle of her team, but she also kind of wants to be in the middle of her team to be able to use that hyper ring appropriately. And then finally, they're nerfing her healing projectile from 6.5 to 6 because they're seeing a little too much healing happening. She's too much of the must pick. Nick, we talked about this earlier. You're finally hearing the patch notes for Juno after all the other different stuff we've covered. Is this what you expected it to be? Is it not? Is this what you would have done?
No, I mean, so you just nerf the healing a little bit?
Yeah. Over time, I think it makes a huge difference because it's 12 bullets, it's 6. You're moving it down to 48. I think that's the math, or 60. I can't remember. Maybe around that point. Whereas previously, like another 6 healing more.
What's the percentage loss over a game from this?
I think.
I know you're not going to know it, but like,
I do think it's going to be like 1,000, like about 1,000 healing roughly per game. If you have a similar situation in similar circumstances, that 0.5 per projectile, I think is going to do a huge difference where she's like not healing as easily. She's stressing out a little bit and making her mobility more of the focus.
So essentially, what you're hearing, what I hear is people have to play a tad bit smarter. Like that's it. And like just a tad bit smarter if you're on Juno's team and they didn't nerf any of the value that she brings to the table. Congratulations. Like use cover more a little bit. Like it's just like don't take as much damage. I mean, that's the whole game in general, right? Don't get hit. Don't take as much damage. Make the job easy for your healers so that they can provide the support that you need. That's the game as a whole, right? That's World of Warcraft. That's Overwatch. Like that's
fighting games. Don't get hit,
right? Yeah. That's the footsie, right? But this isn't like that much of a, maybe the fall off range would be is the real thing here. The 6 to 5.
That's what I was gonna say.
But like also like, is Juno really like not like? Is it really going to punish her to move with her team a little bit more?
Well, she is a vulnerable character in the sense that like once she uses her mobility, her like jetpack duck on the water kind of thing, she can be dove pretty easily and killed. And that's what you saw a lot happen when she first came out. People didn't know how to use her, so they'd use her abilities and like they'd just be, okay, I can't do anything now. So I do think it does make her a bit more vulnerable. And I do think that it puts her in a position where she needs to be in open areas a bit more. So maybe we're going to see more of a leapfrog Juno where it's like, I want to move from cover to cover safely in that like safe range distance and then use my abilities to disengage as quick as possible because I was already squishy. She's a 225 hero, but then also my healing doesn't do as much as I wanted. So
how well's Lifeweaver doing right now?
Lifeweaver's doing a crazy amount because Lifeweaver is a little not overtuned, but like generally speaking, the kit is just overcompensated to that extra healing aspect.
Partner up, baby. That's it. Juno Lifeweaver. Put her on the platform.
That's a good point. Maybe that this whole change is just because the predominant pairing was Juno and Brig. Maybe they're just doing these changes. Maybe these changes predominantly shift who she's good with. That's a really good point. Maybe it's going to be a Juno Lifeweaver. All right. We already talked about map updates, so we're pretty much wrapped here on patch notes for Overwatch. There's a lot that we digested in the last hour for specifically Overwatch patch notes and Overwatch content. Thanks for sticking with us. If you are, this is the Esports Meta. You can find us on all the social medias, everywhere you experience social media at the Esports Meta. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate you watching. Let us know you're watching. Throw us a little emoji, throw us a comment, ask us a question, or you can just hit us up on our YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, all those different things. We're here every Tuesday filming this podcast live, talking about the gaming news of the week, as well as the competitions that are going on. We'd love to hear from you guys, what you're looking forward to, what you're playing, what you're excited about, and what you're not excited about, what grinded your gears this week. But thanks for joining us so far. We've got one last topic, if we can, Nick, a quick one, an update on League of Legends scores. If you're ready for it, birthday boy? All right. I don't get to say that most of the year, but I'm going to say it as much as I can right here, right now to make you a little bit uncomfortable. But we've got League of Legends scores here. And you were the one watching Worlds this past weekend. How'd you feel with it, man?
As expected. Like, I think
as expected.
Like, look who ended up on the thing. Like, I mean, I hoped TL would do better. I hoped, like I said this before, right? Like you have like Appa's not like a bad guy. He's a good player. I said he's going to be going up against, actual like really, really talented mid laners. Like FlyQuest has Quid's like pretty good. Like Quid's I'm hit or miss on him sometimes. Like I really don't know for FlyQuest, but FlyQuest ended up beating Team Liquid. It was America versus America in the on the 13th.
There can only be one.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part is that like EU's not here.
Really? I didn't notice that.
EU talks shit all the time. EU talks shit about NA and like
surprise.
I mean, you continue to talk shit. FlyQuest is not winning any games going forward. Unfortunate as it is.
So here are the scores that we just missed out from the last episode. Team Liquid over GAM Esports, Fnatic losing to Weibo Gaming, Billy over PSG, getting knocked out, and they get pushed into this last part. Top Esports made it in 2-0 on D+. G2 losing the T1 2-0, and Hanwei Life winning over FlyQuest. FlyQuest was in a good spot where they had 2 opportunities to win and they're in, and that second opportunity, they won against Team Liquid 2-1. It went to the limits there, and FlyQuest brought it home with the 7th place on the knockouts there. Weibo Gaming also advancing in 6th place, and Billy Gaming over G2 for 8th place. Overall, some solid stat lines here, a lot of fighting. But, like you said, Nick, I think you're right where it's like business as usual. It's kind of what you expected generally over the course of this. And it'll be interesting to see how knockouts play out coming up. I'm going to bring us over into a little bit of pick'ems here as we look forward to the next matches and rounds, right? I've been knocked out of S tier. Hate to say it, I'm down into A tier. I've got 100 points for picking correctly. But it seems like my woes weren't just mine. There are no more perfect picks happening in this pick'em.
Oh, there's 2 perfectly imperfect picks.
You're right. There's 2 perfectly imperfect picks, and the current leaderboard, 150 points is the top dog. So we're not doing too bad, but we're 50 points behind here, and not quite S tier. Nick, you're about in the same position as far as your picks go, or are we looking at a little bit of a differential here? Am I different you, or you different me?
I think you're probably beating me now. Like there was like hopeful things that I picked. You know what I mean? Like I just like I picked what I wanted to see rather than what I thought I was going to see. And even now, like there's you still have pick'ems to do right now, which are these 4 matches that are left.
That was what we were going to take a look at right now. But these were where I lost my points specifically. I was hopeful on Fnatic, where we talked about Fnatic making the push. Team Liquid are also pushing through, but FlyQuest taking that win over Team Liquid, and G2 didn't really pan out to what we were talking about. That was more of a reach pick for me, I know for sure. But so was Fnatic. I was a little surprised by Team Liquid here, obviously, but that's where it is.
Team Liquid G2, and I had Gammies. Yeah, I think it was like Gam or somebody. I can't remember who's on my list, but it was another one where I was just like, I just hope these 3 make it. I was like, that would be more entertaining for me. There's a lot of people in the scene who definitely want more representation from EU or NA in Worlds to go farther, do a little bit better, because the sport as a whole is going to struggle if it's always like Korea winning. Right. Yeah, or China winning or somebody. So let's go ahead. Let's go into these matches right here.
Well, yeah, we've talked about it previously too, where it's like, it feels like Korea is the main character of this anime, and then everybody else's side characters that get killed off too easily. I would also like to see NA and EU have more representation, but they need to step up. They need to be main character material for that to work, of course, because then ultimately that's going to allow esports also to thrive here in North America. Maybe that's also what's needed. We need better narrative. We need better communication. We need to build fan base and community around these players, around these teams, because right now it's pretty stagnant unless you're like into the Korean teams. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one.
I mean, it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard to do the to like follow certain players and stuff like that. Like you can follow players, like some of them have long careers, but like even dude, like Fnatic's like, listen, you're all getting fired. G2's like, you're all getting fired. Like, I'm not even joking. There's already talks about how much they're changing the team for next year already. So like either you're following a team, you're not really following like players sometimes. Like I follow Team Liquid because I do because of some players that happened previously. But they have some players that I follow on there now anyway, like poor JJ, because I really enjoy him being support, right? So it's definitely a little bit harder with, you don't know how long their careers are going to last in general.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. And there's something in the ecosystem that kind of pushes that to happen, of course. overall bigger conversation about esports in general. And hopefully we can have that conversation over time. Hopefully we can be a part of influencing that conversation to just help people get excited for the things that make sense and get rid of the things that don't make sense, because gamers want a game. We want good faith gaming. And speaking of good faith gaming, I'm going to want to get some good faith picks here. We've been kind of tag teaming my picks. So what do you think is going to happen on Thursday with LNG versus Weibo? I kind of think LNG is almost, yeah, we're both on the same page. LNG.
It's really a coin toss, to be honest. Yeah, between the two of them, it's pretty much a coin toss. Like,
do you feel like LNG made it to the knockouts at a higher position because of their matchups or because of their better team? Like, Weibo is like pretty down there as far as the rankings at this point are concerned. Like, do you feel like that doesn't represent their skill floor or their skill ability, the capacity there?
No, it's not that. It's just the three people that they fought, right? Like, the first one they fought was Team Liquid.
Okay.
Like, free win, unfortunately. Yeah. Like I said this before, like you know, I said this before, like Appa's not like the best like mid laner. I don't want to like harp on him. I feel super fucking bad if he fucking sees this. Like, I'm just punching him, punching down for no. I'm punching up really because you're a pro player, but still, like, he's super good, right? Like, that he's closer to Faker than I am. Like, I'm not delusional in this by any means. Like, I am not delusional. He could beat my ass in a 1v1, right? Make it laughable at this point. But I think he's a solid. I think he's a player. I said this last time. I think he should switch to support in general. And I think he would be a really, really solid support player. So, you know, that's why, you know, I think they had a little bit easier matchup. So, you know, they faced Team Liquid. And then who else did they face? They faced Billy Gaming with second game. And then D plus Kia was the other one. Okay. Right? So two of the people that they faced aren't even in the tournament anymore. So, yeah. And then, like, by comparison, go ahead.
Yeah. They had a lucky roll. They had a lucky roll for initiative, and they faced off against two kind of nothing teams, unfortunately. Teams that, like you said, that aren't in the tournament anymore. They just like couldn't make it happen. And so do you feel like, and like you said, you feel like this is really going to dictate this against Weibo? Like, Weibo is going to just come in with more of a fire, or, you know?
No, I mean, like, the teams that they fought, fought were Fnatic, D plus Kia, and their wins. Sorry, they had 4 games, right? So their wins that they had were against Team Liquid, right? And hold on, Team Liquid, Fnatic, and D plus Kia. Their losses, there's only one of them that was that, you know, that does not matter because they weren't going to win anyway, and it's Gen G. Their first round, you know, might have just ruined their whole entire mental for the whole entire tournament, but they also lost to G2, right? And G2 is not in the tournament anymore, but there's reasons why, you know, they should have beat G2, or G2 should have done a little bit better in the tournament. Okay, so it could be a toss-up on this one.
I really get that vibe, more of a toss-up where they pretty much played similar teams, but Weibo had more losses earlier, so that they had to stretch it further, where LNG was able to secure a couple wins and still get ahead. So yeah, coin flip game. We'll see what you thought. If you're out there, who do you think is going to win? Let us know. Next pick, Hanwha or Billy. This seems more of a
Hanwha life.
Like a Hanwha. Yeah.
100%.
Billy was struggling a little bit more as far as what I've seen from afar. But it also seems like Hanwha is the stronger team. So, like, Billy really needs to step up in this one, right?
They both beat PSG Talon. That's that's pretty much it. Like, I don't want it to sound like too mean, right? But like, Billy Gaming basically, like, they won against G2, they won against PSG Talon, right? And who was their other win? They lost to LNG, and they won against Mad Lions. So, like, you know, not to say that they're, you know, anything really bad about it, but like, they're just not up to the caliber that Hanwha Life is. Hanwha, they can throw the game. Of course. They lost against, who Who did they? They didn't lose against anybody, did they? No.
This seems more of a like a sure footing, but like more of like a 70-30, 60-40 sure footing.
That's where it was.
Rather than the coin flip of Weibo and LNG up here. So I'm
FlyQuest took
also
a game off
comfortable.
of them. That's legit.
I'm more comfortable. I'm also comfortable with Hanwha Life as my choice here. And you know, we'd love to see the game be competitive and Billy, you know, step up, make some moves, kind of show a little bit more gusto than they have this tournament, because it's now or never pretty much. Moving into the next one, Top Esports and T1. This feels pretty tough. My heart is saying T1. I want to see Faker push it. And get through it. But Top Esports, pretty top notch, right?
No, I would go with T1. I mean, like it's not bad. Like picking either one, but I think T1 is going to be prepared for it. Like, you know, Top Esports won against Fnatic. They won against D plus Kia. They lost to Gen G is a thing, you know? So
Yeah.
then they did beat T1 already, but I do not. It was only one game. It's not an actual match. Like I think T1 is going to do really, really well in the match. I think that if any Worlds event was fixed, it would be this one, where either T1 or FlyQuest win for no ungodly reason. But no, he get the $500 skin. He's going to earn it. They're going to like in general. So
Yeah.
that's why T1. I think they really did a nice bounce back. Like after
Yeah.
day one. So.
My heart was really into seeing T1 and Faker making moves on this one. It does feel like a somewhat easier pick. Top Esports, as my understanding from a little bit distance, is a good organization. They've placed pretty well, but you know, I do want to see T1, so I'm going with that pick. And this last pick here, I think we both immediately know. If you're seeing this, the last one is between Gen G and FlyQuest. It's got to be Gen G. Like easily, FlyQuest has. I don't want to say they have no chance. There's definitely opportunity for them to surprise, but I think Gen G is just too strong.
Yeah.
For FlyQuest to make any moves on it.
I think if FlyQuest wins, there is a god, and it's fixed.
Or a devil. There is a devil, and they made a deal with them.
Sure. But like, you know, like if FlyQuest wins, this is fixed. They have not. FlyQuest has not scrimmed Asian teams. Like while they're out there, like apparently, like if what I was reading was correct, they are not scrimming Asian teams because they didn't want to give away secrets. Like, what secrets you got, bro? Like,
Wild card, bitches.
Like there's like certain things, right? So like there's like I can't remember what match it was, but it was one of the things where like Faker got killed like super early because like a certain ward that he went to put a few too many of his games, and they thought, hey, if he does it this game, we can catch him out, we can kill him, right? So if they have some analytic god, okay, who is like, listen, this guy at 2 minutes and 45 seconds is going to be here to drop this thing, drop this ward here, or he's going to be pathing this way and stuff like that. That is where FlyQuest is going to win. If what they're saying is true, that they got strats, like what strats you got, bro? Like, yeah. What Faker is on your side? Like, I don't know, man.
This moment is definitely a put up or shut up moment for them. Like this, obviously this is the whole tournament for them. They need a win to stay in, but you're going up against arguably the best team in the world. And like, not even to say arguably, like just statistically, these guys have been the best in the world for the whole year, generally speaking. FlyQuest has the capacity, but then now is the time to like, yeah, we've got secret chats. Is it just mind games, or are they going to, make the moves? Are they going to outplay them? Are they going to outmaneuver them? TBD, but my money is on Gen G right now.
And look who Gen G went through. But like in general, they went through Weibo Gaming in the first round. Their second match was against Top Esports, and then Hanwha Life. Like, they literally had a buffet of noms, bro. They just ate everybody. So like, if they don't eat FlyQuest, like,
right,
who paid these people off? Anyway,
deal with the devil. We're dancing with the devil. All right,
that's pretty much it.
That wraps up the pick'ems for this week and the coverage of League Worlds. We're looking forward to seeing what the scores are how it's going to play out over this weekend. Starting Thursday, the games are kicking off for the knockout round. I'm going to try to tune in a little bit. We don't have much else happening for a little bit, so I'm going to try to see what's going on. Definitely excited for that. But that's pretty much it for this episode. Nick, thanks for hanging out with me and talking some esports and stuff. What are you looking forward as we wrap this up? Are you going to take a look at some more Supervive with me? Or are we going to go play some Overwatch and see how Sombra is actually panning out? What are you thinking as we move away from the podcast tonight?
I'm going to be playing a little bit more Supervive throughout the week this week, just because it's only around for the next week until like it re-releases again, right? So that's where I'm gonna spend any time when I'm gonna play a game that I don't normally play. Is gonna be there.
Yeah, it's good mentality, good thought process, Brian. I'll be sure to join you. Maybe we could do some duos and get our asses handed to us by the end, or hopefully learn a lot and win some lobbies there. But this has been the Esports Meta. Thank you for joining us. If you're still watching, we really appreciate you. This is a relatively long one. A lot of things covered. Let us know what you thought about the episode, the topics you were excited for. What are your thoughts about the Overwatch patch here? Are you going to play Supervive? Rivals of Aether, are you a hardcore Smash Bros player and Rivals is going to be your new itch to scratch? Tell us about it. We're excited to talk with you because we're gamers just like you. We're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch and YouTube Live. We're also broadcasting on Facebook and LinkedIn for Sports Fluent Network. You can check us out in all the places, YouTube, etc. We have VODs as well as clips and segments, and we're on the social media if you are too. Wherever you find it, everywhere that you are, we are too. TikTok, Instagram, etc. But thanks for watching. We really appreciate you. Let us know what your thoughts are. Give us a follow. We really appreciate it. And thanks for joining us. This has been the Esports Meta. Again, my name is Billy, alongside of Nick, as always. Mr. Birthday Boy, wish him a happy birthday in the comments, etc. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.